misconceptions. We've got truth in our possession. No room for doubt, no time to waste. It's time to put flat earth in its place.
Welcome everybody to Tuesday Night. I'm your host, MC Toon. And tonight we have got a little bit of a special, different, it's always different, isn't it? It was maybe going to be a debate with a second round with Gene Techman. That didn't quite happen. It's coming. He wanted another round. He wanted a round two. So it'll happen, but tonight I'm going to be reviewing the fact that WItsit is completely leaving Flat Earth. He is ditching it, and he's done several videos showing that to be the case. Let me just clean these off for a second here. Anyway, all right, so that's what we will be doing. So what else? If you saw on Facebook, I replaced the window behind me, and after at the very end, if you want, I can show you. It's nothing special, but the whole wall is going to be redone, the whole back wall. So, the fundraiser. Tell you, let me update the fundraiser for you. Let's see here. You need that. The fundraiser for Antarctica is the topic. So this is the previous tally, and let me just grab the newest one. I think you're gonna like this, and if any of you are on TikTok, you might know what's coming. You might know. It's very exciting. There it is. All right. Previously, last week, $35,483. And now, $41,413. I made it. Thank you everybody so much. This is so Globey McGlobeface had been fundraising, and he got up, he was near 6,000, and he's like, well, I'm not going to make it. And so he did a video, and he announced to the people that had contributed to him that he was going to, with their permission, send it over to me and anybody that didn't want to let him know, and then he'll cancel it. So he said a few people did, but for the most part, everybody on TikTok, you go over to his thing on TikTok, they said, do it. They're in. So this is an estimate. I estimated he was close to 6,000. I estimated 5,000. So that's what's about it. So, and this does not include Darkstar 4400's stuff for the camera, because that was above and beyond the initial plan. So add 2,000 more on that to just for Darkstar 4400, and the camera, the body cam that I'll be rocking the whole time there. So about that side trip to Lake Titicaca. Oh my gosh. All right, so let me give you an update on what I'm doing. So I have a web page you can find on my website that has all of the expenses, and I'm putting receipts on there and redacting them so that you can see all the numbers that I'm doing. I have a spreadsheet in Google Sheets that tracks everything. I can't send that, and the reason why I can't send that is because it has people's information, like the people that sent me money on different platforms. I have all their stuff, and a few of them are like, use this name instead. So I need to sanitize that. I probably won't. Whatever I post won't have people's names in it. That'll be presented separately. So The Canadian Space Advocate says, damn, I wanted to give when my check came in, but I guess I might give it to Craig. Give it to Craig. Okay. So today I bought the insurance, the save your butt if you get stuck insurance. Wow. That's something. That is something. There, ALE gives a list of insurance vendors they've worked with. Will had done some research. Will said to me, well, here's what I found. I did what Will said. I did what ALE listed. I compared all of them. It's in my spreadsheet. I'll publish that too. And so $1,900 for insurance. And the biggest part of that is the emergency medical evacuation, which is, I think, $500,000 insurance. So anyway, that's that. I've ordered a lot of things. Yesterday I placed an order for $1,700. Some of it has come in already. On Friday I placed an order for the camera stuff that was about $1,000. So anyway, it's all being documented. So I thought I would show you at least a little bit tonight before we go on to the video of WItsit ditching flat Earth. Yeah, emergency insurance in case I stub my toe on the firmament. Icy Spin, look, I love Icy Spin. He's awesome. He posted the previous numbers, so he'll update that. It's all good. Okay, what was I? Oh yeah, this camera, it's not on. What's going on? All right. Oh, I know why. I rebooted. Yeah. For some reason, that camera gets, I need to unplug. You can't, you're not going to be able, are you? Oh yeah, here. Here's the Elgato. See that? So this is the Elgato that this cable goes to the camera. You can't quite see it. Hold on. You want to see it? There it is. So this cable goes to the camera, which is right there, and then there's a micro HDMI plug on the camera, so a little adapter, and then this is an Elgato Stream Link or a Cam Link. So HDMI on one end, USB on the other end, and it has to be USB directly into the computer. It can't be through a hub. So I have two of them. One for the Sony A6100, Alpha 6100, and one for the whatever else. Here we go. Anyway, for some reason I have to unplug and replug that one. Sometimes. Not always. But today I did. There it is. We're back. Okay. So and then this camera is so heavy that I have to really work hard to position it. So, okay. All right. There is this is maybe going to be one of the things I use there. But anyway, put a battery in. Where's the battery? It's over there. Put a battery in and then a hand warmer, and then cut a hole in the lid, and then it'll stay warm on the inside. So anyway, like cables. That's it. I mean, how exciting is cables? So this cable will go from the battery pack to the camera, and it's got a 90-degree USB-C on it, so that it can hang down the side of the camera instead of sticking out. So yeah, I'm going to look for the ice wall facty. This is a USB 3.2 10 megabyte per second cable. You can tell because of the blue. That is because I will be copying a large amount of data to external hard drives on my laptop. And then this is crazy. I don't know why this was sitting on my desk, but does anybody recognize what this is? I didn't even know. I'm like, what is this for? It was sitting on my desk at work for years, just sitting there. And I looked over at it today and I'm like, I know what that is. That's a GoPro adapter to 1/4-20. So I don't know if I'll need it, but I'll bring it. Anyway, there you go. And I got one more thing. I'll probably open everything like at the same time. I got a package here. Came in today. So if I'm going to do an unboxing video, I should do like not 75 unboxing videos. Anyway, and these are earplugs. They came with the sleeping mask. So the sleeping mask. Oh no, I have one more still. I showed this last week. And all right, this is for, it's hard to, am I planning a 24-hour time lapse? I'm not planning a 24-hour time lapse. I'm planning several of us together, like we're working together. So Will is doing, he has two Insta 360 cameras. They're going to be set up 90 degrees to each other. So when the sun is crossing the stitched together threshold of this one, it won't be crossing the stitched together threshold on the other one. And we're just doing a solid record for at least 24 hours. Dave McKeegan has a 360 that he's doing like occasional pictures. Jaron is working on, hopefully he's hoping to get a 5-day full all the way around time lapse of like a picture like every several seconds. So he's working with a guy that is creating a controller for the motor. So I'm like, that's awesome. Do that. Anyway, so this box I showed last week, and I love it, but it's too big. So this is it here. It's for a hard drive. Like we have it at work. For like full size hard drives when you needed a large hard drive to send out data, but now you can send it on a jump drive, right? We don't even do that. We just anyway. So this is what's in it. So I custom fit this has these little pieces here that you can pull out and you can fit. But this is really cool, but it's a little too big because I want to carry it on my carry-on. And this is all I need. Let's see. Yeah, there's just two parts. There's two parts to it. I'll show you the other part is the base. And I want to bring it on the carry-on because I want to, in each of the airports on the way down, measure the dip angle of the magnetic field, because flat earthers always, I don't know if there's any flat earther that gets the magnetic field of the earth right. They're all ignorant of how the magnetic field works. So I want to be able to say, well, I tested it myself, so you're full of crap. You need to stop being so stupid. Anyway, here's how it works. You set this horizontal. So people are like, hey, make sure you get a southern hemisphere compass. I got it covered. So this will work anywhere. this. So anyway, here it is. You line it up so that the needle is inside this here. So it's going to be on this pivots here. It's going to be on this axis here, right? So then you twist it 90 degrees, and then this measures the dip. I know I've shown this before, right? And I have to turn it sideways, but in order to turn it sideways, I have to hold the needle. So this is the dip, and the magnetic inclination. And the magnetic inclination varies all over the Earth. And the flat Earth makes very specific predictions about the magnetic inclination, and the globe makes very specific predictions about it. So I want to bring this with, and I want to test it in Santiago, in the airport there. So I don't want to put it in my check bag. And I'll do it in Miami and Atlanta as well, and then in Punta Arenas, and then in Antarctica. So this, I need to get into a protection. It needs to be protected somehow. All right. So I'm going to get the name right. So I'm looking in the chat for the person that lives up in North Dakota that said, right, or near North Dakota, that said they could do some, like, build a case, but I just need to get some measurements. So I thought maybe I could do that now if they're in the chat. Oh, I got an email today from somebody that says his mom and 2 brothers are flatties. Ant. That's tough. His name's Ant. That's tough. Zoomeray says Santiago has 0 declination. That's about right. That is about right, because it's near the equator, and I think the line of 0 inclination is actually south of the equator generally, because of where the south magnetic pole is. Right. There it is. Arenth Kuntal. Arenth Kuntal says, all right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to measure this. Somebody want to write these down and then send them to me? And I don't know if this is, I don't know what needs to be measured, but I'm doing it in metric because this is science, people. This is 75 millimeters wide right there across this part here. So the diameter of this circle is a right at 7, just a little below, because this sticks out. That sticks out a little bit, so that's a little less. Then from the base to the top here, right to here. That's what I'm measuring. Tony747 says I can get a plastic hard case with foam inside at Harbor Freight. I've got one. It's too much though. It's too much. I need to have it in my carry-on, and that's just too much for the carry-on. So, all right. 156 to the top of this, and then this, the length of this axis here is 152 millimeters. That's this distance right here. And then the diameter of this guy, flatties don't know that compass needles are magnets. They really don't know that. 105 millimeters in diameter is this circle. And let's see, that circle is how far from this end, the center of that circle. 65. little less, 63 millimeters from this end to the center. So anyway, no entry found says, oh, no entry. Yes, I'm getting back to you now. No entry found. I'm glad you're here. Now, what I just gave, I don't know if you're here for all of it. Is that enough? And if you weren't here for all of it, then I'll go over it. And if there's anything else you need, I will cover it right now. Oh, just got here. Okay. All right. I can do it again. Do you want to write it down? This is interactive, people. This is teamwork. All right. So, all right. Beast. No. Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Hold on. I forgot. The official candidate for the MC Toon Live channel, and we fully endorse Mr. Ponies for All, Vermin Supreme. And the reason why, I just want to know, the reason why is because my daughter wants a pony and I just can't afford one. So for president, one of his presidential promises is a pony for every single person. So we're good. That's it. That's so if you're hoping to talk, if you want to be talking who your favorite person is or any of that kind of stuff, it's all really, it's just, it's all Vermin Supreme. I mean, it's the pony plus that smart headgear. Like that. I mean, you can't beat a guy who wears a boot on his head, a big giant rubber boot. Okay. All right. So if you don't know Vermin Supreme, that's your problem. All right. No entry found. Here's the measurement right here. I'm going to go from the bottom to the top of this, all the way up there. And I went through all these. 150. What did it? It should be the same. 157 is this height right here. 157. Now this whole length across here, this part sticks out. This little nub sticks out. You see that? Oh. All right. Here, you know what? I could trace it. We got this. We got this. We got. There we go. There. That's looking good. Jim on the coast. Yes, we see your comments. All right. And then this whole length here. Oh, this sticks out a little bit. Is a photo of the compass on graph paper. Yeah, I can do that. I'll do that after, not live. I have graph paper. How did I measure that before? I got a really good measurement. Now I'm looking at it like I can't. All right, this'll do. And thanks, MC Toon and Black Powder. Who's... All right, this is 153. There you go. Well, I wear a Batman suit to Antarctica. I'm planning on some clothing. Just say that I've got 3 designed. Peter Markley, if you're on TikTok, Peter Markley posted one that he designed for me and a link to it if you're interested. You can get one, you can get it yourself. I'm seriously planning a different shirt for every day. This is 10 millimeter, right? Or yeah, 10 centimeter, right at the, it's a little more. It's about 105. There we go. GBS, yes, one of them. Okay, this guy here, this circle here. Are you excited to meet WItsit? No. He said, he's a, I don't know if that, I mean, it might be uncomfortable on the plane with him because his ego is so big that everybody else will be a little bit cramped. So all right, so here's the circle that's right here, this guy here, 70 millimeter. And so then this sticks out a little bit on this side and not on that side. So we've got a little nub on that side, like 2 millimeter. All right. Oh, and then the circle, from the circle to this end. Then we're done. So, well, I will have a camera going. So if WItsit wants to be on my documentary, then he can be on camera. And if he doesn't want to be on the documentary, then he'll want to stay away. 63. So. All right, there we go. Steel City says, you're good. Austin will have to check his ego. It's too big for carry-on. Oh, that's a good point. Good point. All right. There's that. I can give more details if you need. No entry found. Let's see, is it a compass rigid in that position? Does it disassemble into parts? Does it fold? Okay, if you're transporting it as is and want a rigid shell, then I need each nub to make a support for them. Okay. Okay, so this, I'll show you. Video works better for this. Well, it'd be good if I switched camera. It pivots here. It does not come apart any more than this easily. There are screws here. And if I really need to, I can take them out. I don't know how much smaller it would get. I think it would just come off the end here, and then it would like sit next to each other. I kind of like this. Oh yeah, and then hold on. I kind of like being able to have it in something like this, right? The case I have here is so much thicker. So look at, here's the case, right? And here's all the thickness I need, right? I just don't need that much thickness. It's just a lot more. I mean, I could maybe just get a smaller case too. El Nufo, well, tell you what, I will just a second, El Nufo. So, all right, then the other thing is the base. Here's the base right here that goes with it. So if it can sit like this with the base or like this with the base, maybe, I don't know. But the base is 123 by 197. All right. Anyway, I will email you back. I'll give you these dimensions back. No entry found. I can put a gusset to support the upright portion in a 90 degree. That isn't a problem. In fact, I can use the base to form part of the support. What are the base's 3D dimensions? Oh, you need to know the thickness too. Okay. That is 1 centimeter. So 10 millimeter thick. And it's, the inside is inset. Can you see that? Like there. There's a ridge on the inside. So the thickness, I don't have calipers, but it's, I don't know. I can tell you. It's 2 or 3 millimeters thick wall here. And then this is going to be the same. So, oh, wait a second. Hold on. See this? There's a circle here and a hole there. Does that? I don't think so. No. I was thinking maybe it somehow matched. So like this hole, you could like put it in, but nothing, it doesn't match. Okay. Might be better to use an app to create a 3D drawing or CAD type image for him to think. They have free ones that are very good. I've used it before. Give me a few minutes to find. Yeah, okay. Try that. It's been a long time since I've done any 3D modeling. But that could work. Okay. So who was saying thanks for playing? You're gonna love this. Can I do? All right. Yeah, so this isn't a WItsit themed one. This is a someone else themed one. There it is. This is Nathaniel, son of Tom Thompson. Thanketh thee for playing. There he is. Little Nathaniel there on his horsey poo. Thanketh thee for playing. So there it is. If you're interested, you too can rock one of these. Designed for, especially for this by Peter Markley. So if you have an interest in designing a custom shirt that might be very fun to be wearing while I'm in Antarctica, you let me know. I've got 2 others. I got this one. I love this so much. Look at it, just also custom designed. And then one more. This one, there you go. I think Zoomy was the inspiration for this. I updated it a little bit. There it is. Somebody's a scammer. Okay. There's that. And I'll put that in the you just search for MC Toon Fourth Wall. And I have them linked. I think I have them linked on my Conspiracy Tunes channel, but not on this channel. I think you can only link one YouTube channel. I don't know. I don't push merch much because people don't buy it much. So a tater salad shirt would be awesome. What will I wear for the press conference? I was joking about the press conference, and then Roland, my boulder, comes along. He's like, I got to talk to you. He goes, you know what? Don't poo-poo the press conference. Do a press conference. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Okay, let's do a press conference. I have no idea how to do a press conference. I don't know what to do. If anybody wants to set up a press conference, if anybody knows somebody that's got a big connection and wants to shine some light on this, I'm up. I am in. I can go to I can pop in for any interview that anybody's interested in. So there you go. Okay. There we go. Okay. MV Rocinante Gold says for $5, what to do for the next hour? Watch election. Ooh, a wild Pikachu has just appeared. There you go. In the United States, we are inundated with politics these last months. So I come here to not have any of it. So, all right. No entry found says for the compass. I'll review the stream to get the measurements. I'm pretty fried tonight, but I'll work on it tomorrow. You have my email and other pseudonyms. Yep. All right. And was that Dave Weiss shirt in Comic Sans? Of course it was. And you know what's hilarious? I will be able to post this screenshot eventually, I hope. Dave Weiss, his emails. When you send an email, you can choose the font. And you can look at the source code of the email and see the font that they chose. Comic Sans. He chose Comic Sans for the font of his own emails. Max says, I can try to get on that press conference. Also, you mentioned you need some translations. Just let me know. I can help with that. I will. I will. I was watching a Netflix documentary on the Andes Mountains. I thought, hey, maybe this will have something on Punta Arenas. It did. It also had something on Lake Titicaca. So it was, I don't know, the Great Andes or the Beautiful Andes or something like that on Netflix. Really great. Good series. They started it in the north and traveled all the way down to the south through the series. And so, of course, the final episode had Punta Arenas on it. Didn't show the city. Interviewed a guy out in the mountains. Really cool stuff. And then the next episode, the first episode of season 2, started in Ushuaia, which is even farther south, and then moved up north from there. So... what will I do if WItsit and Jaren refuse to leave their tent? Laugh at them? No, they won't do that. I have no idea. I mean, Jaren's working his butt off. He's getting this camera set up. He's doing research. He is all in. I have no clue what WItsit's doing. My guess is nothing. Nothing at all. Okay. So what are we doing? We are doing this. So I'll show you. Did I? I want to show you I want to give you a little overview first, right? On what his channel is about, what he's been doing lately. So, and of course, he's doing a live stream right now on the election. Ugh. Can't be bothered. Okay. So I called it months ago that he was going to, he's going to pivot. And so the name of the stream is WItsit FlipsIt, and he's ditching flat Earth to go geocentrism. So here is his live streams. So this is the one we're going to be reviewing, this episode 2 middle ground. This schooling Glober's burden of proof, right? Burden of proof, hilarious. I haven't watched that. Of course, he can't touch burden of proof. The Copernican principle, that's a geocentric thing. Here he hosted a debate between geocentrist Robert Bennett and smart guy Robert Parks, PhD. Well, here he talked with Owen and did a whole bunch of dog whistles. Ugh. Let's see what else. Look at this. He in two months ago right. So this is what he's done in 2 months. Eight streams in 2 months. So that's what he does. That's okay. Professor Dave and WItsit Flat Earth debate review. Nice. Now, if you go look at, oh my God, he's all about the mustache man. If you go look at his X posts, he's also nothing but geocentrism when it's talking about not understanding physics, and it's about how much he dislikes a certain ethnic group. That's yep. Anyway, so this is going to be reviewing specifically this one here, this kinematics and dynamics thing that is hilarious because kinematics and dynamics is a ton of math. It's about math, essentially. So I was going to ask you if he's going to. Liquid Flame says, I was going to ask if he's doing this because of TFE or because he wants to go all in on more of his awful stuff on X. I think he sees the runway here, and that there's an end. Right? He doesn't. I don't think he wants to go to Antarctica, but he said he was going to go. I think he sees it as an exit. I don't know. I don't know if he wants to exit or not. But I think he knows that. I don't know, pontificate on what I think. I don't know what's in his head. I don't. But I suspect that he knows that oh yeah, Beast Militia. Yes. Ooh, just a second. Let me drink a little coffee. Does anybody like Oreos? All right. Flat Earthers have to know that this trip is going to confirm that the sun is going over their heads. There's very few that are saying that the sun will set. There are or anything else. There's just a couple. That's it. For the most part, as soon as this came up, they all pivoted instantly. Dubé, Odell, like Oakley. They're like, oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you say it doesn't matter because you know what's going to happen. All of them are now saying it doesn't matter. But I think WItsit might have a little better pulse than the rest of them to know that it does matter because there's no alternative explanation. Could it be a reflection? No. Could it be a simulator? No. Could it be caustic coffee cup? No. All of those are stupid. If you see the sun and it's there and it's not reversed and it's not a simulator, which of course none of that. So he knows. That's what I think. I'm kind of guessing. And so he's like, well, now what? Because he can't go get a job because as soon as somebody Googles his name, he's that idiot that thinks the earth is flat. Also, he's that idiot that says all those things about that certain race of people. So, he's kind of painted himself in a corner with an entire room full of paint except in the corner to the ceiling. So, so he's looking for the next thing. So I think he dipped his toe into the political stuff, and apparently I didn't even watch it on Modern Day Debate and got humiliated there. He gets humiliated in debates, but he doesn't realize it. I think at least in this one he realized it. I don't know. WItsit once lost a 6-figure job due to flat Earth, supposedly. And the way he put it is, if he had just given it up, If he had just given it up. No, that's whatever job it was, if it did exist, it wasn't six figures. Number one. Number two, it wasn't give up flat earth and you can get the job. No. It was, no, get out of here. You're not getting this job. He didn't have an offer. Whatever it wasn't six figures. So it's a nice mug, but you can't drink from the middle because this whole line is just a straight line. So you have to go to the corner. Yeah. Oh yeah. Six figures counting the decimals. So anyway, Icy Spin says that just means he's aware of how stupid it is to believe in flat earth entities and that he's not to be taken seriously. Correct. Okay. Anyway, we'll jump into this here. Here's a large intro. Now, the word of the stream is pretentious. He is so pretentious. So here we go.
And oftentimes when they hear the phrase, I feel like people just kind of let it melt their brain and freak out. It's actually very simple concepts, very important concepts. And I will make it abundantly clear why it's extremely important and why it is the second episode. We are streaming on X, Rumble, Rockfin, and YouTube. Soon we will be streaming natively on my own site as well. For members, share the stream. We're going to get straight to it, keep it concise, so that you understand the reasoning behind the way that I have set up the stream so far. This episode, the series, is there's a few pretty simple prerequisites that have to be understood prior to looking into the rest of this conversation, this cosmological conversation. And many people that are familiar with this discussion are very familiar with these ideas and may consider these first few presentations very simple. They are, if you're familiar, but very, very important. And so we're going to jump right into it. And you can support the stream, kofi.com/Witsit. That's ko-fi.com/Witsit. As well, I think we can accept super chats at the moment. So,
all right, come on.
Without further ado, let's get right into it. All right. Kinematics and dynamics.
Now, kinematics and dynamics is math. It's all math. All of it. Math. Lots of math. Kinematics is analyzing the movement of things without considering the forces. He actually talks about this, gets that correct. And dynamics is about the movement of things with the forces involved. So as an electrical engineer, I took a class as an engineering student. I am not a practicing electrical engineer. As a student of electrical engineering, I took the statics and dynamics class, which was for non-mechanical engineers in the mechanical engineering college. So, it's an application of physics, and dynamics is an application of moving physics, including the forces. Lots of math. So if he's going to do a presentation on kinematics and dynamics, there better be math.
So here are the table of contents. We have the introduction, kinematics, dynamics, the historical significance, equivalence, and the conclusion. And we're going to stay very specific to the subject to make sure that everyone understands the concept. All right. So a brief description of each one of the sections here. We have introduction. The conflation of these concepts is the foundation of all modern cosmological confusion. Pretty big statement there, pretty big claim. Yeah.
It is. And just so you know, this guy can't do math. This guy doesn't understand these topics that he's talking about. He's going to be referencing people that do understand these topics and have actually done work, put in the effort on these topics, but he has not.
Number 2, kinematics. What is kinematics and how is it applied? 3, what is dynamics and how is it applied? 4, applicable history. What role did kinematics and dynamics play in the history of cosmology and the development of the various models? Number 5, equivalence. What is kinematic and dynamic equivalence? And what is the importance? And then the conclusion. What are the cosmological implications? All right, introduction. The importance of understanding the difference between kinematics and dynamics and the roles they play in this discussion cannot be overstated. In fact, it is the conflation or misunderstanding of these two concepts that play the biggest role in the current cosmological deception. I put here very simply, kinematics is a description of how bodies move, and dynamics is the study of what causes them to move. Double check. And all right, audio is good. Next slide. Definitions. Kinematics is the study of motion without considering the forces causing it, focusing on aspects like position, velocity, and acceleration. It is the measurement and/or description of moving variables. Dynamics examines the forces.
The important thing about kinematics is that it's not predictive. You don't know what's coming. You can't say what's going to happen because you're not considering the forces. So you can only go so far with kinematics. It's good for measuring things. It's no good for predicting things. You need the forces for that.
Is acting on an object and how they affect its motion, essentially explaining, quote unquote, why an object moves the way it does or what causes it to do so. Austin walks around the pole in a circle. You could draw it out. You can calculate it. You can describe it geometrically. How I'm moving is kinematics, measurements of moving variables. That's it. That's all it is. Observation, description, mathematical description of the motion. That's all that kinematics is. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, come on.
Dynamics. What force is it causing Austin to move around the pole in a circle, right? That is the dynamic question. They're very different. It's very simple, but for some reason.
Now, I want you to know, all of these people in the comments here, right, is the people that are, these people are flat earthers, right? And this is Austin ditching flat earth, right? And he's in there, leading them, he's heading out, and I don't know, he might be hoping, but he's already gone, right? This stream shows that he's already left flat earth.
It is the source of major confusion. So we're going to really drive this home before we can start to dig deeper into the rest of this cosmological discussion this series covers. So we're going to use a definition from Fundamentals of Physics, Mechanics, Relativity, and Thermodynamics by Schenker. Butcher's name, I'm sure. All right. The Newtonian procedure for predicting the future, given the present, has two parts, kinematics and dynamics. Kinematics is a complete description of the present. It's a list of what you have to know about a system right now. For example, if you're talking about a piece of chalk, you'll want to know where it is and how fast it's moving. Dynamics then tells you why the chalk goes up, why it goes down, and so on. It comes down due to the force of gravity, allegedly. In kinematics, you don't ask for the reason behind anything. You simply want to describe things the way they are. And then dynamics tells you how and why that description changes with time. I'm going to reread that.
Don't reread that. Oh my gosh. So it's interesting. It's interesting because I watched the whole thing. I mean, you know what's not coming, what he will not be presenting. Think about what what he will not be presenting. While he goes over this, just sit there knowing, oh, he's not going to provide these things. He can't provide these things. He can't.
In kinematics, you don't ask for the reason behind anything. You simply want to describe things. Introduction to Principles of Dynamics. Principles of Dynamics is a subset of mechanics that deals with bodies in motion under the action of forces. The subject of dynamics is completely captured by Newton's second law, F equals ma. Of course, force equals mass times acceleration. To study dynamics, we must be able to handle correct force analysis. In the book,
things that no flat earther or geocentrist can do.
difficult engineering concepts better explain. Statics and applications. A vigorous method of force analysis named the ABCC method for constructing correct free body diagrams is presented. We will present the key elements of the ABCC method in chapter 2. The most important part being, again, very simply, that the principle of dynamics is a subset of mechanics that deals with bodies in motion under the action of forces. All right. Key points about kinematics.
Oh my gosh.
Number 1, it focuses on geometry of motion. Kinematics primarily deals with a mathematical description of motion using concepts like displacement, velocity, and acceleration without considering the forces involved. This is very redundant, but it will all make sense as to why.
Game time 24/7 says, I was told there would be no math. This is WItsit. There will be no math. You can be certain of that. He do no math. Oh my gosh, here, Daza. Eclipse predictions are done from a kinematic model derived from the dynamics of the solar system. There you go. That's, yeah, okay. There's forces at play though. They use gravity. In fact, yeah. Who's Daza? This isn't Daza the cameraman. If you actually look at how they generate the eclipse predictions all rely on ephemerides, which is the plural for ephemeride. To generate an ephemeride, it outputs an ephemeride is a position of all of it's a chart of the positions of objects in 3D space. For the solar system, something you use for eclipse predictions, you need to know where certain bodies are in the solar system. The sun, the moon, the earth are very important. But the position of Venus affects the position of the moon. So in order to generate an ephemeride that's accurate, you need to include the gravity between the earth and the sun, the gravity between the earth and the moon, the gravity between the moon and the sun, the gravity between the earth and Venus, the gravity between the moon and Venus. And depending on how many digits of how many significant figures you need, you can go farther out. You can say, well, we need to include Mars or Jupiter or Mercury, depending on how many digits of precision you need. So, including Venus in the analysis, the gravitational pull between them gets you about to the edge of how many sig fig we need in order to be accurate for the kinds of things we're doing. It is not kinematic. It is dynamic. In fact, the ELP 2000 ephemeride is the specific moon and Earth ephemeride. So it knows where the Earth and the moon are in relation to each other. It's actually just math. It's not a table. You put in it's a formula. You put in the time and it outputs the location basically. So anyway, and so these people, they just parrot these things like this Daza here. That's not correct, but he wants it to be correct, or he heard it from somebody else. Therefore, it's all he cares about. It's correct according to what he needs it to be for flat Earth to be true for him. Try to get that on screen good enough. So, tell you what, let me do this. I want to see. I think it's very enlightening to see what kind of stupidity the live chat is on his stream here. These people, right? These people are dumber than WItsit. If somebody's fooling people, they're generally fooling people that are dumber than them. So these people are dumber than WItsit. Max, what's that? What's that clip, Max? There, okay. Oh.
And in school, you.
Let's take a break and laugh about this.
And in school, you did math and you could pass the test and not have to write the answers down. So why don't you tell me, how would you integrate this? What would be the proper way to integrate this?
No, dude, Ryan, why are you not moderating? Do you see that all the guy is doing is intentionally avoiding every single aspect of the actual debate in the subject, every point that I've made? He came here in complete bad faith, has played clips of me out of context, has tried to do anything but actually have a debate. And now he's like, hey, can you tell me how to do a math equation? Do you not see how this is?
You could just say,
you know why I said that?
To be fair, you could just say no, to get a gotcha on me because he couldn't even get.
And in school, you.
Oh, so good. Where he's doing math. Oh, I love it. Oh, hold on. I think I have. Do I have it? Oh, no, I don't have that. Oh, all right. I don't have a clip of him doing that. Icy Spin says, bro doesn't even know how to integrate. Well, I wouldn't expect him to know how to integrate. He doesn't claim, this is the thing. He doesn't claim to have done calculus. WItsit only claims to have done honors algebra 2 in high school. That's it. That's all he claims. Now, I don't know what the curriculum is in Tennessee. In Minnesota, in 9th grade, you take algebra 1. In 10th grade, you take geometry. And in 11th grade, you take algebra 2. And if you took an advanced class, you take honors algebra 2 or advanced algebra 2 or AP maybe. I don't think you'd get AP. I don't know. That's your junior year in Minnesota, and then the next year you do a higher math class. And a lot of people didn't do an additional math class. I don't remember what it was. Like there was kind of the standard track math class, which I don't know what I took calculus. So I took the next level up math class. I took a whole year of calculus, and all I did was skip one, like the first class of calc in college. So that's all it was good for. So in Minnesota, if you took honors 2 or honors algebra 2, then you would have stopped taking math your junior year. I don't know what it's like in Tennessee, but it's probably somewhat equivalent. So to me, Austin is saying that he took junior in high school math. That's it. That's all he took. So of course he can't integrate. But here's the problem. He's talking about topics where you need to know how to integrate in order to actually know what you're talking about. But he doesn't know how to integrate. He can't even algebra. Astrocate, Sathex's modern ephemerides like DE440 encode n-body calculations of the solar system using Chebyshev. I don't know what that word is. Chebyshev polynomials. There are no kinematics in sight. There you go. I don't know what that is. Astrocate. I don't even know what that is there. I've not looked at DE 4400. I've looked at VSOP 87. And so I know how those are I can get the outline. I know the outline of how they're done. It's still pretty involved. So, and MV Rocinante Gold says, boasting your algebra prowess with no calculus exposure is the definition of Dunning-Kruger. Yeah. Like, you see flat earthers all the time, denigrating people that have gotten an education. Like, it's just indoctrination. Well, how do you know? You didn't do it. You don't know what it's like to take a college calculus class. You never took it. You certainly, absolutely cannot pass college calculus by just regurgitating things. You have to understand them. You're not going to pass a physics class by just regurgitating things. It's not history, right? History class? Yeah. You can get certain distance in history by just memorizing a set of facts and then outputting them when asked. But history gets deeper than that. It's why did this happen? What caused World War II? What was the trigger for World War I? What event was it, and why did that happen? That's history, right? You can output the event of what triggered it without understanding the why. History is about the why too, and so to actually get through, some higher level history type stuff, you're going to need to know the why. So, Enoch Boateng says, never forget that WItsit don't get it. used a window as an analogy to explain the stars spinning in the southern hemisphere as if we pass as window every time we go to the south. I've got the perfect thing. It's hanging up on the wall there. You can barely see it, but I'm going to grab it. Here's the dome that he thinks exists, right? So here we are. We'll take the Joker, right? He's right there. And when he looks up, what's he see? He sees the stars doing circles. I can't really do it, but he sees the stars doing circles when he looks up. And one direction, right? One direction. In order for him to see them going a different direction, he doesn't need to do this, right? They're going sideways here. Let me see it, right? In order for him to go the other direction, he has to do this. Oh, look at that. Now he can see it going the other direction. Austin, you're stupid. Really? How can you be this dumb? You really actually tried to pass this off in a debate, and then after that debate, after you got just humiliated and how stupid you were, you actually thought, hey, let me do a live stream where I double down on this dumb idea. Look, if you're under the dome, no matter where you are and what direction you face, this is going to be going in a circle, and this is going to be going sideways. You can't change that. It's either you are super happy to lie, or you don't get geometry at all. For the most part, flat earthers don't get geometry. I see Spin says it's called say something as stupid as possible so people don't even know how to attack it. It has to be. Okay. How that happens, I don't know. So I actually have a black light. If you've seen me, a couple weeks ago, I had a black light. And so that I put stickers, glow-in-the-dark stickers in here. And the black light didn't quite illuminate them as well as I thought. And these stickers don't glow as well as I thought. So I don't know. I don't know what it is. Does it sound different? Is the sound different? I don't know. There you go. Do some effects. I don't know. Yeah. That's who WItsit is. He actually thought that was a winning tactic in a debate. All right, let's get back to WItsit, FlipsIt.
In a moment. And it's actually quite baffling, the phenomena that takes place in this discussion about cosmology, despite the simplicity of the distinction between these two terms. Number 2, no force analysis. When studying kinematics, you only analyze the path and changes in an object's motion without considering the forces that caused those changes. You can even measure the speed. Number 3, it's not explanatory. Kinematics is merely descriptive, not explanatory. Math describes, science explains. Kinematical descriptions plays no role in explaining the cause of the motion observed. Math describes, science explains. In physics, we are attempting to establish a cause and effect relationship. What is the causal mechanism that is causing the phenomena to happen? That is not what kinematics is about.
You'll
Kinematics
never
is a
provide
mathematical description, which is redundant because math is a description in and of itself. It is basically a language, merely a descriptive tool. Number 4, example applications. Analyzing the trajectory of a projectile, calculating the speed of a rotating wheel, or describing the movement of a robotic arm without considering the motor forces. All right. Key points about dynamics.
So he loves the kinematics. Now, just for reference, the kinematics doesn't map to flat Earth. It's very important. All the kinematics he's talking about does not map to flat Earth. There is nothing about what he's going to talk about here that goes to flat Earth. And his whole audience there, he's bringing along for a ride. All these flatties, they think he's proving flat Earth, but he's not. He's destroying flat Earth.
Examines forces and their effects. Dynamics analyzes how forces acting on an object affect its motion, including changes in velocity and acceleration. Number 2, it's predictive. A proper understanding of the forces involved allow for true predictive capability. Alternatively, kinematics deals with what is presently known only. Very, very important. Very important. In fact, we'll even scoot back just a bit to really drive this point home. You see here, he uses the chalk example. For example, if you're talking about a piece of chalk, you'll want to know where it is and how fast it's moving. Kinematics is the complete description of the present. It's a list of what you have to know about a system right now. Dynamics is when you're going to get into prediction. Because again, a proper understanding of the forces involved is going to allow you to predict what's going to happen. So for example, when we see what we call planets moving in the sky and they move in a cycle, we map them out based on a ratio and a periodicity. So it periodically moves in certain cycles. We're able to map that out.
And he's lying. He knows that ephemerides are not just patterns because they don't repeat. The position that the Earth is in today in relation to the solar system, it'll never be in again. The positions of everything else, it doesn't repeat like that. So he's just making this up.
And under the assumption it's going to just continue in that cycle, then we can have an idea of where it will be at a certain time. However, we cannot make a true prediction because if we don't make the claim or understand what is causing it, the force relationship, you can't predict it. You are merely taking the observational data. You're making an observation right then. That's the information that you have. You're mathematically describing it, geometrically in this case. You're just describing the motion. You're just basically taking notes. That's all you're doing. So in order to make a quote unquote prediction, then it would be merely assumptive that the cycle remains the same because you don't have the tools required to make a prediction because you aren't invoking the cause of the motion.
Exactly right. And ephemeride will use the cause, not just kinematics.
You can't actually make a prediction. Now, if you were to know for sure what forces are involved, what the force is specifically, how it interacts, all variables in terms of forces or anything that could counter the forces, then you could make a prediction based on knowing what would have to physically occur if those forces are present. This is very important to understand, and you will understand why in a moment if you do not already. All right. Let's move on to number 3. Dynamics, unlike kinematics, directly aims to address the causal mechanism of the motion observed. It is not merely mathematical, rather offers a real physical explanation. This is what physics actually is, and this is always conflated in modern times. The vast majority of people conflate these things. They say things like math is reality, math is science. It is not. Math is a tool. It's like a language. It describes things. This is very important.
It's true, yet he can't do math.
To understand math describes, science explains. In physics, specifically, what we're trying to do is figure out how the world works, how it works, right? And why is actually kind of misapplied. It's how it works. Cause and effect relationship. For example, you have a naturally occurring observable phenomena, and you're like, you know what? I want to figure out how that works. What causes that phenomena? So that's going to be your dependent variable. And then what you're going to do is you're going to propose a hypothesis, a cause and effect relationship test, or that you can test, right? Yes, that you can test. And so
No. That's all right. Well, yes and no. That is he just described a valid experiment, but he thinks that is the only valid experiment ever. That if you don't do something, if you can't, if you're not establishing cause and effect, he thinks that it's not an experiment, and that's incorrect. All you need is a testable hypothesis. You don't need. It's not always about the cause. Cause is great. Cause is hard. But there's more to it than that.
So the way that you do that is by assuming a cause. Based on your hypothesis, you're going to assume a cause. That's your independent variable, your presumed cause. You manipulate it, you establish a cause and effect relationship, and you either prove the hypothesis or prove the null hypothesis, right? The antithesis of the hypothesis, of course. So long story short, that's what physics is. That's what science is. We're trying to discover how the world works. People are putting forth ideas as to what forces exist, how the forces work, what is the cause of the force, exactly how all of it works. What are the mechanisms that make these things happen, right?
Things that no flat earther has ever done.
And so it's a conceptual mechanism that is being tested that is distinctly different from just describing what we observe with math. You can do mental gymnastics and say that Superman flies, here's how he flies. That doesn't mean Superman's real. That doesn't.
Nobody does that. Nobody does that. The flat earthers always they like to bring this up. It's nobody done. Why are you bringing it up? It's not a thing.
Mean that he's flying over my house. None of that exists. None of that exists. Just because I can mathematically describe it. And relativity is a perfect example of the danger of putting all your chips on math, right? And Tesla has a famous quote about how
Tesla, who didn't do the math, it was putting all your chips on math, and then it it matched reality. All right, and he just hand-wave dismisses it in favor of, nothing, basically. But and this putting everything on math is certainly something that Eddington had identified in the early 1900s. But he looked at it, he said, there are some specific predictions that relativity makes that we can then go test. And Eddington went and tested it and found out that it matched. And from then on, other people did additional tests to see repeated the same test that Eddington did, confirmed it, did it using different methods, confirmed it, using yet other methods, right? So the other methods, in case you don't know, Eddington tested to see if starlight bent as it got near the sun. Relativity, general relativity, makes very specific predictions about how much the light must bend in the vicinity of the sun. Eddington tested this, and it was confirmed. Now, some people complain because it wasn't a super precise measurement. Well, seminal experiments rarely are. So this experiment was highly successful, and of course, you did it once. Awesome, let's go repeat it. So they did. A couple years later, they repeated it. Confirmed. A couple years later, they repeated it again. Confirmed. So from 1919 to 1973, there were bunches of expeditions that went to different places to see how much star angle measurement or star deflection happened. That's one method of testing that. Other methods exist, like very long baseline interferometry. We have two telescopes that are looking at the position, and because they're separated from each other, they measure a different amount of that deflection, and they use that different amount of deflection to compare and to see how much is happening. And it requires a couple things. One was that it was quasars. Quasars blink, and because they blink, you get the timing. The timing is built in to the measurement. If you don't have, right, without that, if it was just a solid star, then it would be you'd have to have your two telescopes at different locations, highly in sync with each other in their clocks. Pretty difficult to do, but since the quasars blink, you can go off of that blinking. Other ones is Shapiro time delay. That's another one. So there's at least three. There's the satellite. There's a satellite orbits the Earth that got some measurements of it as well. So anyway, so multiple times people confirmed using different methods the amount of bending of light near the star. And then in 2018, an amateur did it for fun. He did it for fun using off-the-shelf component telescopes and digital cameras, and wrote some software himself to do it. And it was the best eclipse measurement of star deflection. The best, because 1973 was the previous one, so they didn't have digital cameras back then. His measurements were amazing. So there you go. One thing predicted by the math, confirmed through experimentation.
They basically just dress up their pseudoscience with mathematical garb. Very important to understand this, because although it seems very obvious right now, and if it wasn't in the context of this conversation, if you were having a conversation with almost anyone and you've had it be so redundant in elementary, where you just reiterate the distinctions here, everyone would just agree. It's very obvious. But when it starts to be applied, when we logically apply it to the conversation about cosmology, for some reason, people fight it. They're unable to grasp it. Something occurs where all of a sudden this very simple concept is confused. So let's continue. We'll go to number 4. Example applications: calculating the acceleration of a car due to an engine force and friction, analyzing the forces acting on a bridge under a load, or determining the stability of a rotating object. So these are all forces, right? Direct cause and effect relationships based on the force present. All right. So what's the historical significance?
All right, let me read this here. Rick says, Someone on X declared that WItsit destroying you and FTFE caused them to turn to flat Earth. They cited him getting rotation/orbit wrong. Dumb follows dumb. And this is a trend that has not been as popular lately, but it was championed by WItsit of claiming that debates with the leading debaters like Craig and myself somehow make flat earthers. And so then they would go, you'd go to modern day debate and you'd see this rash of comments on there where people like, I was on the fence, but now I'm not, I'm totally flat now. But they're lying, right? These are names of people that have said the same thing previously or have been in Flat Earth channel comments sections before. Like, these people are just lying about it, right? They're doing it as a PR stunt of an attempt to that. So this person on X probably was already a flat earther and is just saying this to make it appear as if WItsit somehow is convincing people. But got a lot of flurf. MC Rocinante Gold for $2 says 2 Austins now. Flat Earth WItsit and WItsit 2.0. Yep. Steve6464 for $5 says, what did the acorn say after a long winter's nap? Geometry. Like geometry? Got it. Love it. It's a little cheesy. Enoch. I already got that one. Silly. I can't believe WItsit. So dumb. iSolder74 says Cepheid variable stars. Those are you talking about the light bending test? So the Cepheid variable stars vary in their intensity. In what I've read, they aren't what's used to measure the star deflection. It's quasars, and there's a couple reasons. Quasars emit photons in the radio frequency range, a lot of them, in a range that the sun does not. So at certain frequencies of a photon or of light, I don't like calling things that we don't see light, right? Ultraviolet, infrared, I'm okay calling that light, but for me, light is what we see and its neighbors. Radio frequencies, I don't consider light, but okay, let's say it. So it works in the analogy, at least. There are certain frequencies where the sky is dark, even during the daytime, because the sun doesn't emit a lot at that frequency. Quasars do emit at that frequency. So if you read some of the quasar measurements from the 50s, 60s, 70s, they talk about the frequencies that they're using. So with these two telescopes, they can look at the position of the stars throughout the day until they get right next to the sun and then get obstructed by the sun. Because it's not bright. You don't need an eclipse. It's great. You can get super precise measurements as it approaches the sun. So that's the beauty of quasars for the Eddington style test. So Icy Smith says, by observing a Cepheid's pulsation period, scientists can determine its absolute luminosity and compare it with its observed brightness to calculate its distance. Yes, that's true. Cepheid variable stars, you can get their distance, but not the light deflection. So it's not about relativity. That's not about relativity. It's about how far away they are. And it's what do they call it? The ladder, right? I don't know if Eric's here. Eric, you here? The ladder for determining the distance to stars. So once we got parallax is a pretty solid geometrical measurement of the distance to stars, because we know that the diameter of Earth's orbit around the sun. So then that tells us by the parallax, the apparent shift of a star that's near enough that we can get a little bit of shift. than compared to stars that are so far away that we can't identify any shift. So that's a geometrical measurement of distance. We've measured about 6,000 very accurately that way, which is about, there's about 6,000 stars that we could see with the naked eye at night. And those are the ones that we've gotten a pretty good overlap of the ones that we've measured using parallax. Cosmic distance ladder. Thank you, Professor Parks, PhD. Appreciate that. So that's one way that we know the distance. Then once we've measured that distance, then we can do other things like the luminosity and other things. It gets standard candles. There you go. But that's a whole different conversation. WItsit does address parallax. He gets to parallax in a little bit here. All right.
As applied in terms of cosmology. The progression of cosmology goes as follows. It was universally accepted as a contained stationary topographical plane. That.
Oh my gosh. I mean, he's still talking a little flatty. He's appeasing his audience there. When universally accepted, I think that's a bit of a stretch. Thousands of years ago by people that had no idea of cosmology. Okay. Sheep herders and people that couldn't travel any farther than their feet or an animal could bring them. Yes. People that can only, that couldn't analyze anything. Yes. But, once they started thinking about things, even if they couldn't travel, like Euclid, he figured out that the Earth is a sphere. He wrote a mathematical proof, called it phenomenon. I have the book. It's in the corner in a stack because I'm rearranging the room here.
That's the cosmos, which means order. The entirety of the order was this very complex system. It's the cyclical clock that moves over top of a stationary plane that was enclosed. And it transitioned to a minority proposing the idea that it was actually a stationary globe in the center of this universe, of this cosmos.
It wasn't a minority position. Oh my gosh. That was the majority position. There were very few people that disagreed with Earth as a globe between, somewhere around, 0 BC. Before that, it was 500-600 years before that the Greeks were talking about it, but it was pretty widely known. I have on my webpage a history of the determination of the Earth being a globe, something like that. You can look up the writings on that. Aristotle, Aristarchus, Pliny the Elder, they all talked about it. But other than a couple dissenters, they thought that the Earth was stationary. Some thought the Earth was moving. But they were minority. Those were the minority, and they weren't accepted because they had some observations, but they didn't have a ton of solid stuff. So what do you go with? They just, the default became the default. And so he's just lying about that. He just blatantly lied by claiming that Earth being a globe was the minority position. It was not. You have zero evidence for that. I'm going to let him lie again.
That's the cosmos, which means order. The entirety of the order was this very complex system. It's the cyclical clock that moves over top of a stationary plane that was enclosed. And it transitioned to a minority proposing the idea that it was actually a stationary globe in the center of this universe, of this cosmos. And then it moved over to a globe orbiting the sun, which was allegedly at the center of the universe. And then we get to the current cosmology. Right?
Allegedly. He can't not say allegedly. Like, he's describing people's position in the past. You don't need to say allegedly. You can say this is what they thought. You don't need to qualify it. And yes, that is correct. They totally, completely, and 100% did think that the sun was the center of the universe. They didn't allegedly think that. They did think that. From the 1600s until probably the 1800s when it was people were figuring out that the whole solar system was moving, but they didn't have a deep understanding of it until the late 1800s, early 1900s. That's when the movement of the solar system around the galaxy was getting more explored, We needed better telescopes. Hey, Eric Burns is here. How you doing, Eric? We just talked about parallax last week in my class. Very nice.
More specifically, we have some key players here. We have Ptolemy, who maps out the planets in relation to the Earth in a geocentric model. We have Tycho Brahe, who continues down that path, and at that time, had the most in-depth and accurate observations in the world, as far as we know. Now, actually, I'll push back on that. If you look into things like the Antikythera mechanism, and many things have been omitted, but this.
The Antikythera mechanism, oh my gosh. They love it so much. Antikythera mechanism is just a pattern. How much time did he spend talking about kinematics? The Antikythera mechanism when predicting things, is the kinematics version of it. Hey, we've identified a cyclical pattern. We don't know why. We just know that every certain number of days, this happens. Okay. No cause, no geometry involved, right? It's the Saros cycle in a mechanical form with some additional cycles put in. It's really cool, but it had no understanding in the mechanism. The people that built the mechanism didn't have any understanding. Maybe they did, but this certainly wasn't necessary to build it of the positions of celestial objects.
This is kind of the mainstream acknowledged historical progression. And for intents and purposes, for understanding what's actually happening, what's going on, and how it's progressed throughout time, it's more than enough. So then we have Kepler, right, who actually learned under Tycho Brahe. Interesting side note. Tycho Brahe died, and they recently tested his mustache and found that it had an insane amount of mercury in it, and suspected he was poisoned. And the number one suspect is Kepler, who of course got all of his teachings and all of his writings and all of his observational data. And so,
wow, so much. My gosh. They tested his mustache, found mercury. And that was enough for him to make that assertion. Wow.
So now we get over here, we have Kepler, and we have Kepler, who's famous for, of course, Kepler's laws, where he maps out the cyclical nature of the planets using kinematics, right? So Kepler's laws is just kinematics, very important. So it uses the radii and the periodicity of the planets, the cycle we observe them, and there's a relationship, a ratio between everything that we observe, between our position we're observing from, between the sun, between the stars and the planets. We see this system that's cyclical, and throughout many, many years of making observations and charting it down, they were able to identify a ratio that is relatively accurate. And we'll get more into depth with that in future streams. It's assumed that it's entirely accurate. It is not, actually. Kepler's laws are not entirely accurate, even on the local quote-unquote solar system scale, but that's further down the road of the series. So don't get triggered about that. If you disagree with it, fine. We'll cover that later. I just want you to understand exactly what kinematics is, and that's what Kepler's laws are. They're simply kinematic. Nothing more, nothing less.
So what is he hinting at here? How far down is he going to get? And what's the Kepler's laws aren't right, aren't perfect? Aren't what? Is it going to be that somewhere 9 significant figures deep, it doesn't predict things correctly? Is it that the actual dynamics of the solar system affects it? Well, certainly, yes, that's the case. Earth's orbit is affected by Venus's orbit. Jupiter's orbit modifies Saturn's orbit. So looking at and applying Kepler's laws to Jupiter alone or Saturn alone in isolation, as if nothing else exists, yep, it's not going to be 100% because there's other forces at play. Is that what he's talking about? That's my guess.
That is just objective. Very important. Okay, so then we get into Isaac Newton, of course, the guy famously who proposed the idea of gravity and came up with calculus before he was 22. Saw an apple and all of a sudden had an epiphany. Now, Newton actually explains that he just putting forth an idea doesn't necessarily have to be true. Obviously, we left some people off here. We left Galileo off. We left Copernicus off.
He had a hypothesis. Yes, he had a hypothesis. He's trying to denigrate that he had a hypothesis.
General. It's just to lay out the historical progression as it applies to dynamics and kinematics. And so Newton talks about this idea of gravity. So we see that all these things move in relation to each other, and there is a relatively accurate ratio that everything moves, right? And you can map it out. It's cyclical. It just keeps on happening as far back as we can actually access any type of recorded data. So Newton comes along and proposes the idea that, well, there must be some innate property, some naturally built-in property of these planets.
Now, here's what WItsit always relies on. He loves to dig into this, right? Newton identified the law of gravitation. And he backed off of proposing the why, right? And Austin dives into the why of Newton, right? Newton had some musings and some philosophy on the why. That was it. He didn't have a proposal for the why. But Austin, he just leverages that over and over and over. Nope, not important. Newton said it wasn't important. Don't ascribe to me the why, he said. He doesn't know why. And that's perfectly fine in a law of nature. Why does light bend at a certain ratio between different indexes of refraction, different densities of material? Snellis didn't know. Descartes didn't know. They just identified how much it did. That's all you needed. So that's what Newton did. And so WItsit just, he can't not leave, but he's going to go over and over and over. He returns to this vomit. Like a dog returning to its vomit, WItsit returns to the nonsense about trying to pull out the philosophy that Newton proposed and played with for the why, but never committed to, and never said this is why.
Planets that's causing this to happen. So he just calls it gravity, right? You just use the word. Now, gravity actually, gravitas, meaning heavy, right? The Greek word for heavy. So it's just that things are heavy. They have a weight. They have a heaviness. So that's an innate property of all matter. And so that's the line of reasoning there. It is no more profound than that. And Newton himself explains it's not any more profound than that. It's just, okay, he had the brilliant idea of saying, okay, well, we'll just say that there's a force caused by an innate property of the matter. That's all that he did. And I thought about going more into depth about exactly how he did that, but I want to keep this concise and very simple and on topic. So long story short, if you don't know, Newton said, I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works. It's mind-blowing to me. It must be a direct act of God. I have no idea. Don't ask me how it works. I don't know.
There you go. That's all you need to say about Newton. He didn't propose the why. He didn't know why. The end. But Austin can't not come back to it. Oh my gosh. All right. Quickly, quietly, silently. Look, dude. Shepherds. Yep. They were shepherds. I'm using that in a flippant way. Yes. Shepherds. The people it's denigrating. Yep. The people that thought the earth was flat weren't astronomers. They weren't equipped to do the geometry that well. But what they did know was that at the end of the day, the sun went down. It was no longer visible. And so the shepherds and the other people of their time who also weren't figuring out that daytime for them was night for somebody else and vice versa. They thought, well, the sun goes underneath the earth somehow. It goes through a portal, or it goes through a tunnel. It rides on a boat on a river, or it goes underneath the turtle. Whatever. They did not think that the sun was up somewhere else. This was an important thing. The universally accepted thing that WItsit was talking about, it wasn't, I think universal is a pretty strong term. Doesn't matter if it's universal or not. But the people that didn't understand, didn't know that time zones existed, thought that the sun went under the earth. As Peter Markley says, they were observationalists. They said, oh, look, the sun went down out of view. Something got in the way. The horizon got in the way. That just happened for everybody at the same time. That's what they thought. It's a fair way to understand the Earth when you don't have an idea of the scope or scale of the Earth, or the fact that there's night for you is day for somebody else. But once you know that simple thing, even a shepherd can get this. If it's night for you and day for somebody else, the sun cannot be going under. This is the Earth. It can't go under the Earth because it's day for somebody else. It can't be up here and go, right? If you're here, it can't go down if somebody here is still seeing the sun. Can't work that way. Shepherds get that. Right? Well, flat earthers don't. They're not smart enough. They're too stupid to get that. The angle, there's nothing between you and the sun. There can be nothing that obstructs it. Oh, but streetlights, look how they go farther down. Yep. As the sun moves farther away, it will appear to move down, but never cross the horizon. Never, never, never. No entry found says, well, I have to be up early. You're a good one. I'll review these measurements and make a case model tomorrow. You and everyone else in the chat, have a good one. Thank you. Jeebus says, I saw some video where tribal people from rural Pakistan were asked and shown things about Earth and solar system. They still thought different locations had their own suns. I mean, that could be, I suppose you could do that, but it gets complicated pretty quickly, doesn't it, though? Right? So maybe you think that you live on some sort of an island and the sun goes into the sea and there's a portal there, but somebody else has a different sun and different portals, right? That gets complicated quickly. But if it's very local, right? Like if it's 5 miles on top of you and it sets 5 miles away from you, which for many people, they never traveled that far from their home, from where they were born. 5 miles is, right? They had to walk. I don't know, 5, 30, 100, don't know. Fill in whatever number that actually is correct. So, can you repeat the third law of Flurf? I think it applies. The third law is they are pseudoscientists when analyzing flat Earth evidence and science deniers when they analyze globe evidence. Maybe you're thinking of the fourth law of Flurf, where one Flurf explanation for an observation contradicts other Flurf explanations for observations. Zumi says the Aztecs thought they lived on a hemisphere as a convex Earth with a dome over it, and when the sun went over the horizon, it literally went under the Earth. Yep. So when flat earthers try to talk about ancient civilizations, flat earthers' current proposal of flat Earth does not match. It totally contradicts with those ancient cosmologies. They do not work. They don't. So yeah, fourth law. I see spin. All right.
Here's the math for whatever the force would be if it's an innate property. That's it. Okay. So that is a dynamic claim. Ostensibly.
Yes.
Maybe not the perfect choice of words there, because if you are claiming a force relationship, the cause based on a force, that is dynamics, right? We just covered that redundantly and extensively, right?
Yes.
Now, the thing about it is what he did was he took Kepler's laws and that kinematic relationship, and he just threw another variable in it, called it mass, right? Just threw that in there.
He applied a force. He made what Kepler had identified and bridged it from kinematics to dynamics. And now he's trying to denigrate what he did. He just threw a variable in there. That variable is force. Brings it to force. Seriously. This is how desperate this, I mean, the stink of desperation here. Where is Oh, there it is. I was teaching my kid physics the other day. I'm like, this is the secret. This is the key to get you ahead in physics. Dimensional analysis. You've heard me talk about it before. I don't know. Is it just me, or do people love dimensional analysis as much as I do? Right? You've got kinematics as acceleration. Right? Acceleration. It's got velocity. It's got position. Right? And you've got position as meters. That's your units. Velocity is meters per second. Acceleration is meters per second squared. Now you don't have a force yet. What's force? Kilogram meters per second squared. That is force. So when you go from position, velocity, acceleration, and what's the relationship in these? Integration and derivation, derivatives, right? You go here, and now you've got a force. You bridged into dynamics. So you just added a variable, Austin said. Mass. Yes, exactly. You went from kinematics to dynamics. He just added this is something that Kepler didn't do. This is what Newton did. And he needed calculus to get here. It's great. It's fantastic. It was groundbreaking. And he's like, he just added a variable. It was genius.
So if you actually begin to solve the equations, they break down to just kinematics. So in fact,
they don't break down. Oh my gosh. Here's break down. Think about this pretentious dickwad. You don't break down when you go here. That's not a breakdown. It's a derivative. It's not breaking down. It's calculus. He doesn't understand calculus. He's an idiot. He's an idiot thinking that he understands things. A pretentious, blowhard dick flute that doesn't understand the topic he's talking about.
In fact, there is nothing revolutionary, nothing profound, nothing innovative, no groundbreaking,
Everything you just said is the opposite.
Science-shattering revelation. None of that. It's just put in the variable in the kinematics. So in fact, all it is kinematics, because all he did was say, okay, well, there's got to be some type of force, and I don't know what it is. I can't define it. I can't describe it. I have no idea what it is. I'm just going to take this relationship and then throw the variable. I'm going to say it has something to do with just the fact that it's matter. And he explains. It's like that's all I can come up with. It blows my mind.
That's all you need to come up with. It was groundbreaking. He invented an entire branch of mathematics in order to do this, in order to come up to get a force, to take Kepler's stuff and get a force out of it. It's not groundbreaking to WItsit because WItsit doesn't understand it. And here's his audience. Kepler ain't the founder of anything, especially a celestial laws. You idiot. And here, never been forsaken ministries? Sends him money. The Father loves you, bro. Keep on walking hand in hand with him. WItsit is lying. Your religion doesn't agree with him. It's the bad guy that is behind WItsit's words.
Blows what the stuff in the sky does blows my mind. How it has to work, I have no idea. I can't really wrap my mind around it. Okay, so that's where you get the idea that Newton proposed a dynamic claim. That's, of course, gravity. Mass attracts mass is the way that it's been described. Probably most people that are new to the subject still think that's what gravity is accepted as, and that is not the case. Then you get into Einstein. Now, there's obviously tons that we will cover in this series throughout this progression. As it applies right now, we're talking about kinematics and dynamics. And Einstein, of course, comes in. He updates the dynamic claim, and he then says gravity is actually not a force. It's the effect of the bending and warping of space-time, and that all motion is relative, and that nothing is stationary. Everything is moving, but you can only say that something's moving in relation to something else. Now, obviously, there's
so many misunderstandings there. Let me back it up. And and he said this, he fires it off really rapidly because he said it so many times. It's part of his mantra. Probably need a little more. Okay.
the effect of the bending and warping of space-time.
A little more than that even.
As it applies right now, we're talking about kinematics and dynamics. And Einstein, of course, comes in. He updates the dynamic claim, and he then says gravity is actually not a force. It's the effect of the bending and warping of space-time, and that all motion is relative, and that nothing is stationary. Everything is moving, but you can only say that something's moving in relation to something else.
So you can only say something is moving in relation to something else is Galilean relativity. It's not often called Galilean relativity. Physics, high school physics book. Something WItsit. I can't imagine he actually ever took high school physics. It is chapter 1 is the introduction. Chapter 2, motion in one direction, in one dimension. And right there. Look at this. Look how quickly we get into it. First page, second page, Galileo's ship. So, sometimes an introduction is skipped and you go right into this the first day of class. So, the first day of the content of high school physics class by this book, you talk about Galilean relativity right here, Galileo's ship. And Austin, is saying, is misunderstanding it and saying that Einstein introduced the idea of you're only in motion relative to something else. This goes back to Galileo, and certainly before him, right? He gets his name ascribed to it, but people understood moving relative to each other. And yes, when you're sitting still, you're moving. When you're sitting still in 3 dimensions, you're moving in 4 dimensions. Read why does E equals MC squared and why does it matter by Brian Cox. Fantastic book. And it explains the motion in 4 dimensions, how you're moving in 4 dimensions, right? When you are not moving in 3 dimensions, you are moving at 100% speed, 100 in the 4th dimension. If you're moving, this concept here, it's amazing. When it clicks, it clicks. When you're moving in 3 dimensions, the portion that you're moving in those 3 dimensions, you are now not moving in the 4th dimension. That's how clocks behave differently from moving objects. It's the cone of time. It's amazing. But he doesn't get it. He doesn't. He this is beyond him, but he's sitting here, pretentious Dick Flute, talking as if he understands.
Now, obviously, there's way more to it. Like I said, if you stick through the series, by the time we get further down into the episodes, we're going to really get into the heart of these matters. Well, you have
No, they're not. No, he's not. He doesn't understand these topics. He's just going to quote people. That's all he has.
to have a primary understanding of the concepts. And this is one confusion. This is confusion that extends into PhDs. to my surprise.
Here's how pretentious he is. He's an idiot. He can't handle physics, high school physics. He's never touched calculus, never touched it. Doesn't even claim to touch it. And here he is, pretentious dick flute, talking down to the people that understand it, as if he understands it better than them.
It's pretty crazy. And so you fully grasping this in a genuine pursuit of truth is going to put you ahead of the vast majority of people that even are interested in the subject, believe it or not. Okay, so that's just kind of the general layout, right? You have kinematics. And so when you have Ptolemy and Copernicus and Tycho Brahe and Kepler, it's all kinematics. You have Newton acknowledging the need for a dynamic claim, but saying he has no idea what it is or how it works. He actually just took the kinematic equations and then just randomly plugged in a variable. And mass is
such a misunderstanding of what Newton did.
a whole different subject because it's not even properly defined, and it's defined differently in different periods of time, right? So it's conceptual quantification of matter. Okay, let's continue. Here's a little video. You have Kepler, now you have Ptolemy. You have Copernicus. You see we're going back around the sun. Then you have Tycho Brahe, who has things moving in relation to the sun as it moves around the Earth.
Now, this is an important, that distinction there. There's multiple ideas of geocentrism. And so he showed two of them there. And so a lot of the time when people think of geocentrism today, they're thinking of a different one than what he believes, right? This is his globe geocentrism presentation. This is him saying this is his position. So when it's the title of this is WItsit FlipsIt, he's flipping. He's going all in on geocentrism. This is what his geocentric model is.
All right. So here is the equivalence section. So just a few examples of things that are typically invoked but misunderstood. So we have orbit, of course. Planet, plane, wandering star. They move.
Remember, this is coming from a guy whose audience is flat earthers. Okay? He's pretending to be a flat earther still. He's telling flat earthers this thing, but all of the stuff that he's going to propose is geocentric globe. The sun is still 93 million miles away in all of the things that he's presenting here.
Around in a cycle, and they're orbiting in the sky. So it's often falsely claimed that the ability to map the trajectory of orbital paths is exclusive evidence of heliocentrism. So this is where you get Kepler's laws. And so many people will tell you Kepler's laws proves heliocentrism, and it does not. We have retrograde. That's if you're not familiar, it's where the
So for reference, Kepler's laws alone don't. When you apply forces, dynamics, yes, you need that, because you can't have the Earth being stationary and the sun orbiting the Earth, because the dynamics don't work. You need that force. So when the sun or the barycenter of the solar system is what the Earth orbits, the forces match. If you flip it the other way, forces don't match.
planet will look like it's going backwards. It's often falsely claimed that retrograde is proof that it is the Earth that is moving around the sun. And because of the way that they cross paths, it creates the illusion that the planet's going backwards based on one body going faster and the other one basically passing it. And as you pass it, it's going to look like it's going backwards, although it's all supposedly moving around the sun. That's the heliocentric explanation for retrograde. Then you have parallax. Similarly, it is often falsely claimed that parallax can be explained due to the assumed orbital motion of Earth. And of course, parallax is just the slight deviation of stars. Basically, stars move, and they of course say that it is stars slightly move, and they claim it's not actually the star that's moving.
Here you go. Matthew Hakeem, one of the dumbest flat earthers there ever. He says, is this a Glober show? Yes, it is, Matthew. WItSit's a Glober. Hakeem says, they were all wrong. Well, how were they wrong? And what is right? This is funny. You see this here? Ad B says oblate spheroid lovers anonymous. WItSit is an oblate spheroid lover. This is an oblate spheroid presentation. It's just Earth center instead of Earth orbiting. That's the only difference. And then this is funny. Notice Bear. Matthew Akeem, this is the history of kinematics and dynamics. No, this is WItsit. This is his model.
Moving, that's just an illusion. It's that the Earth is moving. Right now, very similar to the next one, aberration, stellar aberration. Once again, the astronomical observation of stellar aberration is falsely presented as exclusive evidence of Earth's orbital motion. And again, it's an apparent shift in the position of the star due to the assumed relative motion of the Earth between the Earth and the star. So these are all
measured, not assumed.
All things that will be invoked as proof that the Earth is orbiting around the sun. And this can only be invoked as proof of that if there is a gross lack of understanding of what.
Actually, if you apply dynamics, then yes, all of this only matches with the Earth orbiting the very center of the solar system. But it doesn't matter, WItsit. Either way, WItsit is globe. This is WItsit globe.
What the terms kinematic and dynamic means and how it applies. Okay, let's move to the next one.
He did misspell aberration.
Visuals for you here to show.
It's all right. Okay, this is the key. This right here is the crux of the whole presentation. All right. He's gonna contrast globe heliocentrism or barycentrism, whatever. Don't nitpick on that. Don't nitpick with him on that. It's not that important. Versus globe geocentrism and his very specific idea of globe geocentrism.
Kinematic equivalence. So if you look here, this is the heliocentric model is parallax. So you see the Earth moving around the sun. If you look in the top, you'll see the view from Earth.
Yep.
That's the heliocentric. You see the star slightly moving. Now you have the geocentric. Of course, this is the Earth not moving and everything in the sky moving around the Earth. And you'll see that the view from the Earth is exactly the same.
Now, what he's missing here is the dynamics. He's just looking at kinematics. So this is a pretty standard for WItsit. The don't look, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So he's this the elephant in the room, right? More than that, right? The elephant in the room is that he's ditched flat Earth. The other elephant is that he's talked about dynamics so that people can think that he's already addressed the dynamics, that he's got it addressed. He does not. So what this little video here is showing is that the sun is orbiting the Earth. Why? Where's the force? What force is causing that to happen? It doesn't work. It does not work. In an orbit like that, the relationship doesn't work. The sun couldn't orbit the Earth once a day. There's too much centrifugal force.
Because it's just us describing the motion from what is experienced to be a stationary position with everything moving around us. The other side of the claim is that actually we're moving, just can't tell, and it's an illusion that everything's moving around us. So of course, when we look at the star's quote unquote parallax, you just move the little central axis over and it's identical. It's identical.
If you ignore forces.
So here's some more visuals for everyone to make sure that they kind of understand. I know visuals help. You see, we're just going to move the axis over from the sun. We assume.
Okay, now this really
center of rotation to the Earth. Now in the Tychonic model, which is being shown here, you have the planets moving around the sun as the sun moves around the Earth. This is going to make all observations identical, including retrograde, including the phases of any of these planets.
And that's correct. No dynamics though.
And we'll get into all the depth of like the assumed causal mechanism, discrepancies with actual observations such as the phases. The point is that they're identical in terms of the planet's paths, how they move, how they appear to move.
Not how they move. How they move includes forces. How they appear to move does not.
It's very simple when you look at this visualization, right? It's not a complex idea. You're observing the planets from different positions. I just know visuals help people. Here's the annual retrograde.
Here, they're starting to get the sense here. You got real science education, which seems like a misnomer. Says because if he's a flatty, where is the flat Earth? It's not there. That sun is 93 million miles away. This is WItSit's proposal. And then Run Boston Bear says, we live on it. What do you mean? This isn't what Austin is proposing, Run Boston Bear. Titus says the same thing. You're standing on it. That's not an explanation. Where is the flat earth in here? Right? He's saying globe wrong. And the flat earthers are expecting, here's the flat earth explanation. They're not doing it. He doesn't have it. What's Matthew Hakeem? The stationary position of Polaris and the fixed position of stars around it disproves the notion of axial tilt. Oh my gosh. Hakeem is so dumb. He thinks that axial tilt, that the Earth's axis has to tilt annually, even though he's been told it doesn't. That's what he thinks.
From the Tychonic model, of course, again, a geocentric model. So you see that it's going to look like the one planet's going backwards based on its position in relation to the Earth and the Sun. So from the Earth, it'll look like that planet's going backwards in the sky at times, although it's not. We won't get into this too much because that's a dynamic claim when we start talking about angular momentum.
He doesn't want to talk about the dynamics.
Overall, very simple concept. We'll skip over the dynamic portion here.
Of course you're going to skip over the dynamic.
And like I said, it's going to be a very simple and concise stream. Okay. So gravity, the dynamic claim of the currently accepted model.
All right, let's just get this clear. This is a guy who doesn't understand gravity, who's going to now pontificate about gravity, a topic he doesn't understand.
Is gravity. There is admittedly not a currently accepted version of this claim that is truly viable. To make matters worse, both Newtonian.
Einstein has nailed it. That there's no flaws that I'm aware of in application of Einstein's relativity as it relates to gravity. There are edges of relativity where beyond that it doesn't apply. It doesn't reach there. But it's not that it's incorrect, it's that it is incomplete. There's a difference between incomplete and incorrect. So at the quantum level, gravity is relativity is incomplete there. And in the center of black holes, relativity is incomplete there. Yep, got it. But everywhere in between, we're good. We're good.
And Einsteinian models of gravity are, at the least, equally valid within a geocentric model. So we just covered how kinematics. Now, what is kinematics again? It's just the observation of how things move, the measurement of moving variables, the mathematical description of motion, geometric acknowledgement, description of movement, acceleration, velocity, geometric trajectories,
got it,
orbits,
yeah. Got it,
retrograde,
got it,
parallax, aberration, the analemma of the sun. All of this is an observation of motion described kinematically. Nothing.
But flatties for years have been they're like, it's coming. Everybody's going to get it and you're going to be in trouble because you were defending the bad guys. So Run Boston Bear is doing that right here. It's interesting how many more people will get it in just a year's time. Get what? WItsit isn't a flat earther, Run Boston Bear. He's a geocentric glober. This is his model. He's trying to soft sell it to you. He's introducing it, right? Like, oh, hey, everybody, let's get this. So that when he's like out with flat earth, because he goes to Antarctica and sees the sun, he's like, I can't deny it anymore. Then what? This is it. This is him, giving himself a landing pad on December 19th. This is it. This is a runway for him to land on, right? He's already taken off of the flat Earth runway. He's got to land somewhere, and he scoped out. He did a flyby of politics. Nope, not going to work there. He's done a flyby of talking about how much he likes Germany from World War II. He's like, nope, that's not going to do it for him, right? He's doing different flybys. This is his flyby, and the fact that there are 4,646 views on this, and that there were, I don't know how many were watching live, is his confirmation that maybe this is where he can land on December 19th. Maybe it is. Wait till Bear and Regis realize. Oh yeah. Look at that. Flat Man B. He's got flat in his name. He's going to be disappointed. And so Real Science Education was saying, where is flat Earth in that? And then they're like, you're standing on it. Titus 2:13 said that. And Real Science Education said, no, with respect to WItSit's diagram, where is flat Earth? It's not there. It's not there. Oh my gosh, Run Boston Bear. Waking up can be difficult, especially because we were all mass programmed. Austin is doing his part to help wake people up. To the globe.
Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing more, nothing less. So intrinsically, none of those claims could ever prove that the Earth is actually moving around the sun. Because in the current paradigm, it is required, if you believe or are going to claim the Earth is moving around the sun, one must claim.
Okay, now, here is where Austin loves to sit. He loves to tell everybody else what the current paradigm is. A guy that doesn't understand the current paradigm, he can't handle the math. He can't handle the topic. It's beyond him, right? He doesn't understand this here, the progression here. He doesn't understand what Newton did, introducing calculus. None of these things are within his grasp. But here he's going to tell everybody else what the current paradigm is. Somebody that doesn't know what the current paradigm is.
That there is a kinematic equivalence. Now, there's the other aspect, again, that's dynamic. We discussed Newton,
which he won't talk about.
Forces involved. The reason that I'm being so redundant, I'm just going to stamp down on it again here, because there's no excuses if you actually listen to the stream, right? The kinematics.
Yeah, he's leaving out epicycles.
Is oftentimes claimed to be exclusive evidence that the Earth is moving around the sun. The heliocentric model, although misnomer, it's the solar barycentric that's actually moving around the galaxy, rotational centric that's actually moving through the ever-expanding universe of emptiness while we're tucked away in an insignificant corner.
There's his, he hit the play button on his parrot.
Etc. For intents and purposes, heliocentric model. People will say, oh, retrograde. Retrograde, how do you explain retrograde? Retrograde is proof of the heliocentric model. Parallax proves it. Aberration proves it.
Yes.
The seasons prove it, which is saying the analemma, the path we see the sun move throughout the year.
Yep, all that.
Allegedly proves that the sun is not moving. Your proof that the sun is not moving and the Earth is moving.
We don't say the sun is not moving.
Moving is that the Earth appears to be at rest and the sun moves in the sky. That's proof it's not moving. So the core claim has to say, oh, all motion is relative and it's just an illusion. You can flip it around and you can think that you're stationary, but actually you're moving. It's going to look like the stuff is moving in the sky, although it's actually not moving. It's just that you're moving, making it look like it's moving. Which, of course, relative motion in and of itself is a true concept, right? We all understand the concept. If you're moving in a train, right, and you see a tree, now imagine if the tree was moving and you were stationary, it would look the same. The concept is very simple. Now, so we're going to set all of those. Now, you should immediately ask yourself, wait, if I Google it, why does it tell me that that is proof?
Because they don't ignore dynamics. You've got gravity on the screen right there, Austin. You need to apply gravity in order for these to work. It doesn't work in geocentric globe, and it certainly doesn't. None of this maps to flat Earth, right? This is the elephant again. None of this prepares anything for flat Earth. So when you're like parallax, let's ignore for a second. I'll set it aside. Ignore the dynamics. Kinematics, does it work? Can you propose kinematics works for both geocentric globe and heliocentric, barycentric globe? You can propose that, and you can get a certain distance with that, but you cannot map that to flat Earth. It does not map. It doesn't. The video that he showed, that's not a flat Earth. None of that maps. It's a falsification of flat Earth. These things are observations that you can really make. Aberration you can really see and really measure, but it does not. You can map it a certain distance into geocentrism, as long as you don't go dynamics. But it does not bridge to flat Earth. It doesn't. Not even close.
How is it 2024? And if I ask for proof the Earth moves around the sun, or proof of the heliocentric model, or something to disprove the geocentric model or a geocentric model, why is the only answer you get kinematics? That's inaccurate.
We don't.
Right? Now, you get into the dynamic aspect, and that's where you get gravity.
Now, he's not going to get into it.
We don't have time to go into the depth of all of these concepts here. Certainly gravity, we will cover in the future, but it's very important that we get this,
in the future
understanding at the beginning. And that's why I'm being painfully redundant. And I really, really hope everyone is on the same page here. So I put here, to make matters worse, both Newtonian and Einsteinian models of gravity are at least equally valid within the geocentric model. And again, to reiterate, the dynamic claim of the currently accepted model is gravity, quote unquote. There is admittedly not a currently accepted version of gravity that is
wrong.
Truly viable. That's well known, right?
He did not turn off super chats. He addresses them at the end, briefly.
That's why people are proposing this idea of modified Newtonian dynamics to replace relativity or Einsteinian dynamics, because it doesn't work, right? And it's off. You need dark matter, but that's just a.
I don't think he quite understands dark matter, because he talks about dark matter as like in the solar system. He doesn't understand what dark matter is about and what the proposed different hypotheses for it are attempting to do. He doesn't get it.
A made up idea to save the idea of gravity. And of course, the relativity was moved away from Newtonian gravity because it didn't work to explain the heliocentric model due to many observations, for example, Michelson-Morley. Okay.
The heliocentric model, for example, Michelson-Morley, it's a bit of a jump. Newtonian gravity doesn't explain the precession of Mercury. That's where Newtonian fails in the heliocentric model, barycentric model. Gravity doesn't come into play directly in Michelson-Morley. It's a different. Relativity does, but not directly gravity. Oh, what's Hakeem saying? Austin, are you believing the gravity hoax? So, geocentric globe does agree with gravity. And so, yeah, Austin is proposing gravity exists.
Now, this is very important to understand. We'll cover this more in depth, and sure, you can challenge it right now because the stream is not going to fully substantiate this claim, but I can assure you that this is the case. Although there's not even an actual claimed version of gravity that's viable within the
Why he keeps saying that? He just parrots this lie over and over.
Heliocentric paradigm, the modern Big Bang dark matter, cold dark matter universe, right? The cosmology accepted in the mainstream. But even worse than that, the two most recent ones, most people think relativity is accepted, and then most people will tell you that gravity is just mass attracting mass, and then they're told these ideas that they parrot, that they're the same, that Einstein and Newton are the same, and all Einstein did was build on Newton, and it's the same thing. They are not the same thing.
Well, I mean, we can check to see if that's the case. Well, let's see what Einstein said about gravity. No one must think that Newton's great creation can be overthrown in any real sense by this or any other theory. His clear and wide ideas will forever retain their significance as the foundation on which our modern conceptions of physics have been built. Well, that doesn't work well for you, WItsit. And so then here we go again. You can get within our inertial reference frame, you get gravity, the law of gravitational attraction. Here's 4 citations showing their derivation from Einstein's field equations. So I don't know. He just has to, make up stuff, I guess. I don't know where he gets it, but he likes to say it a lot, so I think he's convinced himself of it.
And this comes back to not understanding the difference in kinematics and dynamics. The fact that if an object falls, and we're going to say, okay, let's describe it, 9.8 meters per second squared is roughly the average rate at which things fall when they fall down. So I can use Einstein, I can use Newton, I can use any version of it that's mathematically describing it, right? Yeah, that's a kinematic description. I can use just a kinematic equation and tell you that the object's going to fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. You can use...
No, you can't. This is how bad he is at math. He said this before. He said, with kinematics, I can tell you how fast it will fall. No. With kinematics, you can look at how long it took to fall and look at its starting position and ending position and then output the acceleration. Or knowing the acceleration, you can output the ending location if you know the starting location, right? That's what you can do with kinematics. Kinematics is not predictive. You need dynamics for that. The globe, gravity is predictive. We know the mass of the Earth, we know the distance from the center of mass, and we know the motion of the Earth rotating daily. So we know the centrifugal force. So we can identify based on elevation and latitude the downward acceleration due to gravity. Yes, gravity. Due to gravity in our inertial reference frame. So you can't. Kinematics doesn't do that. You use kinematics just to measure it, right? So you go, you develop an instrument that's highly precise, and inside that instrument, you essentially pick up an object in there, right? Drop the object, and when it crosses a laser here, and then crosses a laser here, you know how long it took between those two interruptions of the laser. So then you know the start position, the end position, how long it took. You apply kinematics and you know the acceleration. That's it. So you don't know what it will be. He always gets that wrong. He doesn't understand this topic. He doesn't understand. He constantly says that kinematics, this is what's weird. He spent how long at the beginning of this saying that kinematics is not predictive, and then he just said kinematics is predictive. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Height, initial velocity, and time, purely kinematic variables, and you can get 9.8 meters per second squared, right? And accurately describe the fall of an object. Dynamics is, again, the causal mechanism. It's explaining the cause of it, how it works.
Oh my gosh. Hakeem is so stupid. Density makes things go down. No, it doesn't. You idiot. How can he breathe? I don't know how he's smart enough to even breathe.
Works. Newton and Einstein claimed very different things. In fact, opposing ideas were claimed. One says gravity is a force based on it's an innate property of matter. And then Einstein said, wait, gravity is not a force. It's actually just the effect of the bending and warping of space-time, right? Newton said that space is absolute and fixed and everything moves in relation to it. Einstein said, no, space is specifically not absolute.
Newton wasn't what Newton was about. That's again, he digs into these other esoteric things about Newton. Newton output laws of motion, laws of, several other laws like viscosity, the law of viscosity, and the law of gravitational attraction. What he didn't really do was prescribe a whole bunch of causes to these things.
Absolute and fixed. Newtonian gravity required there be an ether, some type of medium that was interconnected with mutual contact. Einstein's theory specifically required the removal of the idea of ether. And there are many other blatant contradictions that cannot be true. It's because they're different claims of physics. They're different theoretical physics claims. They're different causal mechanism claims. Ideas are fundamentally different.
Look at these people. Dojo, are you guys even listening to what Austin is saying? Are you just here to have your own private chat? He's like, how dare you not sit and listen to the teacher indoctrinate? Hey, Dojo, some people multitask. You don't have to be rude, bro. If you don't like what we're talking about, simply don't read it. Pass it on. Ignore it. Focus on Austin, like I said, not on us. Ain't nobody being rude here. Oh my God. Oh my God.
They're dynamically opposed. They cannot both be true. What people do is they revert. Now, the same people that would listen to the beginning like, we get it, why does he keep saying this, of course, are the same people that will end up reverting back to conflating them by saying that Newton and Einstein are the same. And that that Einstein just built upon Newton, that they're both equally valid, they're both true, or whatever.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
There's a difference in kinematics and dynamics. It is the most important concept to understand. You have to learn how to identify the difference. And I found out that even having a PhD doesn't guarantee that you can do that in 2020.
But don't worry, WItsit knows. He's smarter than PhDs in this topic because he's so smart.
PhD in astronomy, PhD in astrophysics. They conflate these all the time. Okay. So long story short, whether it's Newtonian or Einsteinian, which are both wrong, they both work with a geocentric model, even if they were true, which they're not.
Hold on.
Right?
I gotta get a screenshot of that. This is great. I mean, Hakeem is dumb as donkey spit. But at least he's identified that Austin is a glober here.
Geocentric model. And this can be shown many different ways, right? There's a dynamic equivalence with both of those gravitational models, which neither of them work. So we will cover that in a future stream more in depth, of course. So here are the results. Number one, astronomical observations of celestial motion are merely kinematical descriptions, and as such, offer no exclusivity. In fact, exclusivity can only come by way of kinematics in terms of falsification of orbital motion. In fact, exclusivity can only come by way of kinematics in terms of falsification of orbital motion. This is
so he talked about dynamics, but then he doesn't talk about dynamics. He only wants to talk about kinematics. Just pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Because a highly specific cosmological claim has physical limitations. Very simply, if you make the claim the Earth is a sphere that's tilted, wobbling, spinning, so rotating on an axis, revolving around the sun, and that the planets are certain sizes and certain distances and certain masses, and they have a certain gravitational relationship, and they're all moving around the sun at a certain velocity, at certain rates, that is a very specific claim. So in fact, kinematics can refute that claim. Because if you're making highly specific claims about the model, you could, in theory, make an observation of the motion that doesn't match that model, and it would falsify it. So I'm sure people will be like, oh, this doesn't seem fair. So it can falsify my model, but not yours. Well, I would have to make a definitive claim as to a model, which I'm not doing. What I'm pointing out is there are many different viable geocentric models. A neotype.
I like this. Brenda, what a dick. And then Icy Spin says, I've already covered that. And he added flute to the end of it. Yes, Austin's a dick flute. He won't touch dynamics. He can't.
Iconic model, for example. There are many. There are very many of them. Because again, the kinematics doesn't mean anything other than we know that there's an observation that takes place. So,
hey, all right. I want to identify this. This is in the chat here. Look at this. All right. QQS, quickly, quietly, silently, which is hard to say. So, here's what I quickly, quietly, silently is how you want to fart when you're in church. Even more at a funeral. So, if in the future, just QQS, you might find me calling you funeral fart. Just okay. Just because it's a little easier to say. It's not quite as wordy, Anyway, so funeral fart says, I'm perfectly within my rights to come here and say what I want without being called a flurf and pressured to appear. True, you are. I'm glad you're here. I hope you understand that, and I realize you're being dumb in a cute way, Max. So anyway, I completely agree with funeral fart that you're welcome to be here, and I want you to say what you want to say. But as long as you don't go there, right? And some people have timed you out or deleted some of your I didn't see anything that should have been blocked, right? Funeral fart's not talking about stuff that YouTube would say is a problem. So anyway, yeah, let him say it. All right. Hey, Benjamin says, all right. Benjamin Needens, or is it Neidens? Depends if it's German or not. In German, if there's two vowels, typically the second one's long and the first one's silent. So it'd be Needens. But if it's not, then the I is long, then it might be Neidens. Anyway, let me know which is correct. It says you should show him the movie The Magic Voyage. What's The Magic Voyage? I gotta look it up now. The Magic... oh geez. 1992. Oh, what? Christopher Columbus decides to go on a journey to prove that the earth is not flat. His companion is a smart woodworm who's on a quest of his own to save a beautiful fairy princess from the evil lord Swarm and his insect army. That sounds great. I have not seen that. All right. Max says, I challenged Funeral Fart to debate and they ran away, but they call me dumb and somehow are running away from debating me. That's why they are butthurt. Hey, some of us, I mean, this is kind of the way to settle a beef. You enter the arena, the debate arena. Max is throwing down the gauntlet for Unifart, and you don't have to accept it. You don't. A lot of people won't accept it. I get that. That's fine. But appreciate that you've been challenged. Hey, you could do worse than being challenged by Max to a debate, right? Max is a skilled debater, and it's an honor to be challenged by Max. So take that for what it is, an honor, Funeral Fart. All right, Benjamin Niedens says it is German-based. Okay, there it is. It sounds Niedens. Got it. I don't know whether something is German or not. I just know that the vowels are swapped like that. I never studied German in school, so I don't know how I even learned that vowel thing. So
yeah, I get why this is unfortunate for the side believing in the mainstream model, but I won't reveal it yet. But just so you know, such an observation does exist. And to give you an example of it, the perihelion shift of Mercury did not match and does not match the helios.
Did not match Newtonian gravity alone. Oh, I didn't have it on screen. But it matches Einstein just fine. Just fine. Let's see. I mean, I've got it right here. This is what's great, right? WItSit's claims can be tested in real time. No, that's not the right. Let me get a better. There we go. So here is Einstein's writings on the perihelion shift of Mercury. And the really cool thing is that he didn't just calculate perihelion shift for Mercury. He also calculated the perihelion shift for Venus and Earth and Mars. And you'll see that the quantity is significantly different. So here's the output. 8.48. And let's see, what was I forget the actual number, but it's within a very small, there it is, 0.43 per century, while the astronomers say it's 45 plus or minus 5 seconds. These arc seconds. So the calculation says 43, observation says 45 plus or minus 5. Totally match. Totally matching. This is awesome. Totally matching. So when Austin says it doesn't match, he's just lying. He's just lying. It matches. I don't know. Does he whatever. Benjamin Niedens says, I'm actually from California, so most people went from your other way saying Niedens, so thank you for saying it the right way, even on a guess. You're welcome. Mark Beiser says, Beiser, long I, silent E. Is that German, Mark Beiser? Says, maybe you learned the German vowel thing from being corrected on how my name is pronounced. I don't think so. I never thought about Beiser. I mean, I've seen it, and I know that it's pronounced Beiser, I guess. I don't know. Funeral Fart calls us weirdos. Okay, we're weirdos.
Geocentric models predictions doesn't match. This is why this idea of the infallibility of Kepler's laws is incorrect. It has problems with Mercury, it has problems with Mars, and it has problems with other planets. We'll discuss that in the future. Okay, number 2. There is intrinsically a kinematic equivalence.
Yeah, just one more time. I need to. He's wrong about that. It matches
the geostatic position within the currently accepted model, as due to unexpected and unpredicted experiments / measurements.
NNELG says, WItsit dropped flat Earth? Yes, he did, in fact. This whole presentation is about geocentric globe, and this is what he thinks is what's happening.
the current model must integrate the primary claims of relativity. So due to these unexpected and unpredicted experiments and measurements such as Michelson-Morley, Airy's failure, and the list goes on, and subsequent replications, the current model had to update and integrate the idea of relativity,
yes.
the primary claims of relativity, to be specific,
yep.
right? Had to. Specifically that orbits are linear and it's free falling and there is no acceleration, there is no force acting on an object, moving it from its linear path. An object will continue in a straight path unless an outside force acts upon it. To claim the heliocentric model is true, based on all these different observations, measurements, and experiments that we've done to this point, you have to say, oh, well, that's not true. An object can go in a straight path and a curved path at the same time, and it can leave a straight path without a force acting upon it, and that orbits are actually curved paths, quote unquote.
He's just hitting play in his parrot here.
But really, from the Earth or from whatever it is that's orbiting, you're just free falling in a linear path, and that gravity that's causing it is actually not a cause in and of itself. It's the effect of the bending and warping of space and time, or something to that effect. Specifically, what is required no matter what, whether you get rid of relativity or not, you have to claim that that's the fundamental nature of the orbit.
Oh my gosh. So, all right, what did somebody's responding to Hakeem? Austin is representing globe theory very well. Not much flat Earth. Man, for being so dumb, Hakeem is getting it. Right? That's worth another screenshot. Good job, Hakeem. Now, this is interesting. Dojo responds to Hakeem right here. Austin is laying the groundwork for the falsification of the globe model based on kinematics. He's not falsifying the globe model. He's attempting to equate globe geocentrism with globe heliocentrism. That's all that he can accomplish in this. He's attempting to equate them. He's taking real observations and saying, this is a way that it could work potentially on globe geocentrism if we ignore dynamics, but none of this matches flat Earth. None of this will lead to falsification of the globe, because for flat Earth, you still have to incorporate, why does aberration happen? Why does parallax happen? Why does the perihelion of Mercury happen? Why does the redshift and blue shift of stars on our ecliptic plane happen annually, and not in the north and south poles of the ecliptic plane, sphere, celestial sphere? None of it. Max says, did you see that on Jaren's the other day? Caleb debated a concave Earth. I saw that, but like you, I just couldn't. Regis Terslow says, if you're, oh, all right, where's that? Where is that? Oh, there. If you're a flat earther, stay tuned, he says right there. Seriously? If you're a flat earther, stay tuned, you will see. Yep. If you're a flat earther, stay tuned, you will see that Austin is ditching flat Earth. He is not, number one, he's not going to present a geocentric globe explanation for these things based on dynamics. Number two, there is no mapping, even if you do accept geocentric globe, there is no mapping, none at all, to flat Earth. He's falsifying flat Earth because none of these observations that he is talking about works for flat Earth.
To explain things that have been done that refuted the previous understanding or assumption of heliocentrism. Okay, so hopefully that was not too much of an overload, but very important, very important. So because of this required concession and integration of the principles of relativity, right? And I don't want to get too much into the claims of relativity right now, because we're almost wrapping this up. You have to say that a geostatic, a stationary Earth position, is equally valid. It's required. So hence, here's the conclusion. All astronomical observations are purely kinematical in nature, and as such can be equally explained from a geostatic position. In fact, the currently accepted mainstream cosmological model necessitates this acknowledgement due to relative motion. Hence, the problem which now faced science was considerable, for there seemed to be only three alternatives. The first was that the Earth was standing still, which meant scuttling the whole Copernican theory and was unthinkable.
The reason why it was unthinkable is because there was so much evidence. Those things that he identified there, parallax, aberration, retrograde, and other things that he didn't mention. Romer's, I think he might mention Romer not by name, in a little bit, and the red and blue shift of stars annually. All of those things do not, say that it's unthinkable, because all of those things would have to have been replaced with some valid explanation, and they don't have it in a geocentric idea. That's why it's unthinkable, because the barrier is so high. He doesn't get that. He's like, WItsit likes to say, it's a philosophical thing. It's not a philosophical thing. It's a very practical thing, but it's pragmatic. You don't get to abandon you don't get to scuttle the whole Copernican theory. You don't get to, unless you can provide a mechanism for all of those things. They have to come with. You have to bring aberration with. You have to. And there's nothing for it. Icy Spence says, what do you think Austin means by middle ground, like bridging the flat earth and heliocentric model and compromising? Oh, I think middle ground is he's bringing flat earthers to the middle ground, being geocentrism. He's trying to bring his cash cow on board with him for December 19. That's what he's doing. Right? Run Boston Bear and Regis. Right? He's bringing them with. He's prepping them for the landing on December 19 when he says Earth is a globe but geocentric. That's what he's prepping it for. Right? Look at the audience he's talking to. His people, the people paying his bills. That's who he's talking to. The bill payers. The bill payers. He knows this. Right? He's done 8 streams in the last 2 months. Right? He does 4 streams a month. No problem with that. But I don't know what else he does for income. Is this his primary source of income? I think it is. That's the my understanding of it. But anyway, he's almost done, and then I'll he's doomsday prepping.
This is in reference to Nicholas Morley. What did they do? And they updated the model with Einsteinian relativity. The struggle, so violent in the early days of science between the views of Ptolemy and Copernicus, i.e. geocentrism and heliocentrism, would then be quite meaningless. Either coordinate.
Yes, they would be, because all of these things were already hashed out. This is important. They were already hashed out. And so Einstein knew this. He looked back at that. He's familiar with the history of it. He's like, yep, they hashed it out, and they came to a very reasonable position, backed by evidence, and new evidences support it still. And so to go and ditch it because of one thing is a high bar. Not saying it's not possible. Everything in science is possible, but you need to get to that bar.
A system could be used with equal justification. The 2 sentences, quote, the sun is at rest and the earth moves, or, quote, the sun moves and the earth is at rest, would simply mean 2 different conventions concerning 2 different coordinate systems. That's Albert Einstein, The Evolution of Physics from Early Concepts to Relativity and Quanta, page 224.
No application of dynamics, though. Just coordinate systems. That's it. That's all he's talking about is coordinate systems. Yep. You can do coordinate. You can do coordinate system transfers. Doesn't mean anything.
38. This is him saying that all kinematic descriptions I must concede as a heliocentrist. This is what he's saying, that all of those are merely a coordinate system based on the theory that we know how to put forward to explain.
No, he's limiting this discussion to within coordinate systems.
The idea that the Earth is orbiting the sun, all of those can be equally explained if the Earth is at rest. So conclusion, long story short, geocentrism is actually superior in viability.
He didn't present anything at all to suggest geocentrism is superior. He didn't even propose anything of geocentrism. The only thing that you could conclude, if you accept it, is that the kinematic application that he's trying to do here, his conclusion is a massive jump that he didn't touch. I think he wrote the conclusion before he did the presentation because it's not there.
The conflation of kinematics and dynamics is a rudimentary lack of understanding,
which he just did. He's conflating them. He didn't talk about dynamics, but he's like, oh, they're fine.
And to explain the slide, which I kind of breezed over it, again, all the dynamics, for example, if you pick Einstein or Newton, they both work with geocentrism, which I'll explain in the future.
No, they don't. They don't.
Well, it actually doesn't even matter because those don't work for heliocentrism. The heliocentric paradigm doesn't even have a dynamic claim. Literally doesn't. That's why people are proposing modified Newtonian dynamics to try to replace it, to try to fix it, but no one can come up with anything.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. That's it. Now the rest of this is just him in parrot mode. So, geocentrism has a lot of problems, but so let's just address one. Talk about one. If you pin the Earth, and then you say the sun orbits the Earth once a day, you need a certain amount of force for that to happen. There isn't enough there. Because there's a centrifugal force, or the centrifugal acceleration of the sun that around every day. Think about this. The Earth orbits the sun once a year, and there's a certain centrifugal acceleration there. Okay? And we can use that centrifugal acceleration matches the mass of the sun and the radius of Earth's orbit. They match. Right? Now, that's one of the ways to determine the mass of the sun is by the periodicity of the orbits of the planets. And the fact that all of them match, having their periodicity and their radius of orbit match the necessary mass of the sun for all of the different orbits of the planets in the solar system, that tells you a lot. It tells us a ton. It tells us that we're correct about the mass, because you've got multiple different ways to measure the mass of the sun, and they all match. Boom, 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 boom. Check, 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 check. Now you go to geocentrism, you pin the Earth magically pin the Earth. Okay, put the hat on. I will accept for the moment the pinned Earth. It's not moving for no good reason, but let's say it is. Now, the sun, 93 million miles away, orbits the Earth once a day. What's the centrifugal acceleration? Well, it's significantly larger centrifugal acceleration than the Earth orbiting the sun once a year. The periodicity is significantly more. There isn't enough force. What's the force? The dynamics. What's the dynamics causing that to happen? Nothing is provided. Mystery Man says, you also need an explanation regarding the difference between the sidereal day and the solar day. Yes. Yes. But we're not even there. That's the thing. We're not even there. That's why I'm laughing. We need the geocentrists first need to explain just the daily orbit of the sun around the Earth before you talk about sidereal and solar days. You don't even get there, right? It's you're not tall enough to ride this ride. That's what it is. You don't get to talk about the difference between sidereal and solar day. If you can't explain just the centrifugal acceleration of the sun as it orbits the sun, as it must, for geocentrism, orbit the Earth once a day. You can't get that? We don't need to talk about sidereal day and solar day. Real Cygnus is not to even mention distant stars and galaxies. It's even worse for them. Brenda says, if the sun is 93 million miles away and or orbiting the Earth in 24 hours, how crazy fast is it going? It's going crazy fast. It is going crazy fast. Well, we can do that. That's a good question. How crazy fast is it going? How crazy fast? Well, and so number one, we're not doing it in imperial. We're doing it in metric. I'll do it on this paper here. We've got the Earth here. We've got some a little bit of a Narnia Earth here, not Narnia, middle Lord of the Rings, like, right? There we go. So here's Earth right now. We've got the sun not to scale. There we go. Yeah. Do you know the distance, Brenda? In metric? You need to explain what causes epicycles if the Earth is not. Well, of course you do. All right. All right. 150 million kilometers. Oh my goodness, you didn't even get to watch me draw that. It's all right. It wasn't that fancy. There you go. Okay. So there's Earth. There's the sun. 150 million kilometers away. So this we've got orbiting once a day. Somehow. All right, we've got once in 24 hours. Now we need to go to base units here, right? We need meters per second for the velocity. Use units that yields sixes. If you don't draw. Oh yeah, we need a North Pole. All right, I see spin. Right, the North Pole's there. All right, 24. Almost drew 5. Times 60. Times 60, right, to get seconds. And I know this by heart. But I don't know it by heart. All right. So that's the number of seconds in a day, and that's 150 million kilometers. That's just add 3 more zeros. Or if you're Oakley, you divide by 1,000 to get meters, but we're going to multiply by 1,000. So what are we looking for? We're looking for velocity, right? So we need to get the circumference. So we got pi d, or 2 pi r. Right, circumference equals, and I'm going to 150 2 times. All right. Oh my gosh. 9, 4, 2, 4, 5, and a bunch of zeros. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. There's our circumference. So 1,000 million billion, 942 billion meters. And it needs to move that far in this many seconds. Right? And so I divide by this, and that'll give us our velocity. So 86, 400. So our velocity equals 10907,986. 10907,986 meters per second. Okay. Convert that to velocity. Where's velocity? Speed. We got meters per second. We're going to go to kilometers per hour. They're like, WItSit's like, it's so fast for the Earth to be moving around the sun. I can't, it's an incredulity about how fast it goes. Well, you've just proposed this. 3926850 kilometers per hour. So 39 million kilometers per hour. So that's a bit faster than the Earth orbiting the sun. So there you go. There is that. So then what's the next step? Well, we can get the centrifugal acceleration. Like a dude, which is okay. Don't rely on memorizing formulas. Centrifugal is velocity squared over the radius. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a large number. I did the calc using the nearest star, not including our sun. If all the stars were revolving around us, the nearest one would be exceeding the speed of light. Of course, that's a bit of a problem, but they reject relativity, so it's not a problem for them. But the centrifugal acceleration is massive. Okay, so we need the velocity squared. So I've got the velocity there in meters per second. And the radius is this, right? 9. Oh, wait, I need to square the velocity. So square that. Boom. Oh my gosh, it's a big number. I'm using a calculator on my computer, so you can't see it. Sorry. Do it in your head. I'm sure WItsit can do it in his head. Okay, we've got the velocity squared. Now we need to divide by the radius. Radius is this one. Okay. But this is in kilometers, so I need to do it in meters. So all right. Is that right? Let's see. $793. 793 meters per second squared. Now, 9.8 meters per second squared is pretty significant. All right. That seems right. Just a little sanity check. So the centrifugal acceleration of the Earth around the sun in reality is some very small number, like 0.000 something. So this here is a reasonably ridiculously large number for the centrifugal acceleration that the sun experiences as it orbits the Earth. So anyway, but it actually, here's the weird thing about it. Here's what's really weird. I'm going to show you something. I got these for a reason. You know what these are? I got these a couple weeks ago. These, right? You know what these are? These little tack thing, right? That and then you fold out the, right? Is that familiar? I got this for the next thing I'm about to tell you about, to actually make a little art project. So the Derpy geocentrists that WItsit is talking with, Robert Bennett, they claim in order to, and he showed it in the video briefly, in order for parallax to work, they don't claim that the stars, well, okay, for geocentrism, the sun orbits the Earth once a day, but also the stars orbit the Earth once a day. How does that happen? No dynamical equivalent. Nothing is proposed that can explain it. But take it for just a second. There's still a problem that doesn't explain. If the stars are orbiting the Earth once a day, it doesn't explain parallax. So what do these idiots do? These idiots say, well, the stars don't orbit the Earth once a day. The stars, for no reason, orbit the sun once a day. Or they're pinned to the sun. So they go, that's what it is. They go with the sun. So the stars are pinned to the sun as it orbits the Earth. Not the stars orbit the Earth. The stars are pinned to the sun as the sun orbits the Earth. That is their kinematic-based explanation for parallax. Why? It only does that in their model because it has to solve the problem. There's no plausible mechanism for it. They're just making this stuff up. All right, so we got Kiwi Bush says that a funeral fart says, do you see and understand the calculations on screen that I'm doing right now? You refute them without bringing your calculations. Is that what you're doing here? You go, are you trying to say that there is no cult of I don't know what I don't see him. It said that geocentric makes more sense and heliocentrism is sun worship, and there is an Isis Osiris cult which worships the sun. Yeah, okay, so cool. Some people worship the sun, not us, not me, not I don't, just because you say it doesn't make it true. We don't worship the sun. But I did. Where'd it go? I said that geocentric makes more sense. How does this make more sense? How does it make sense that there's this much centrifugal acceleration keeping the sun in place, but there isn't enough mass for that? What's causing it? Don't know. Don't have any explanation. That's not better. You don't have something better. All right. 0 is the answer. All right. And then we've got Rick says the investigator saw the Mercury precess. Kepler, talking about the Mercury in Brahe's mustache. I wonder if WItSit's election live stream is still going. I don't know. Probably is. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, he's still alive. I don't know. Let's see. I hope that Vermin Supreme is still winning. Right? I've not been paying attention, but I have no doubt that later tonight we will be getting an acceptance speech by Vermin Supreme. So I hope. I always, and I know you are here with me in support of everybody getting a free pony. So, and we only want one. Don't worry. We're not going to be. We just want the one. Just the one pony. So, by the way, as a kid, I did have a pony. His name was Bandit. What grade? First grade? Kindergarten, first grade? Up through fourth grade, so about 4 or 5 years, we had a pony. We had a horse, a pony, and a middle one, like a crossbreed, half horse, half pony. So they were horse, medium, pony. Like, anyway, until we moved, we were in a rural area. We moved to a city, and then we had to get rid of them. So anyway, it's not a horny. So people, that is Austin has presented his model that contradicts flat Earth. This is where he's going. I called it, I don't know how long ago, a couple months ago, I called it that he's in a live stream I did. I don't know which one. I don't care. Doesn't matter. But yeah, he's definitely leaving Flat Earth. I early September said this to him on a Discord server. Said, "You're leaving Flat Earth." He said, "No, I'm not." I said, "You're leaving Flat Earth." And the evidence of him leaving Flat Earth is abounds. So anyway, that's my opinion. Could be wrong. He's leaving Flat Earth. So I will leave you with in some words from WItsit. But before that, let me just say thank you so much to everybody that's supported me for the trip to Antarctica. It is a go. I'm super excited for it. And I feel the weight on my shoulders of everybody's efforts and how much you did to support me. So I'm going to give to you as much as I can in return. So tomorrow I'm doing a live stream with FTFE on my channel. It will be our Toon and Craig show, Craig and Toon show. And it's undetermined what we're doing so far. I've got Thursday at 10 p.m. I've got a debate with the guy that I debated before PDQ. I don't know. He's on Discord and his letters are a little, what are they? I don't know. QP. I debated him during my 50-hour live stream. So okay. Anyway, do you want to see the window? It's not impressive. I have trim on the left and right sides. You can see the curtain is up, and the curtain is only up barely because when I took off the trim, in case I replaced the window, when I took off the trim, the little clip that holds up the curtain fell off. So it won't go back up, but you'll see it. There's trim on both sides. I just kind of tacked it up quick. The whole wall is going to be getting a treatment like totally different. So I'm not putting up the trim carefully. There you go. Super exciting. I know. What do you see in the reflection there? You see, oh yeah. So up here is this reflection right here. That's the bookshelf right up there. I have a light right here just shining up, so that just gives faint illumination to the room. So anyway, yeah, I'd never replaced a window before. I've installed one once. This went okay. So I was excited. Anyway, everybody, thank you very much. Be sure to go, if you haven't yet voted for Vermin Supreme, go do it until he wins.
I don't even cuss, bro. I don't even cuss, bro.
Stupid shit.
I don't even cuss, bro.
No, I don't even cuss in my freaking content. I don't even cuss, bro.
That's what the fucking word means.
Shit all over that. Shit all over that. Shit all over that. Crazy shit. Talk about gammas.
Yeah.
Dude, if you can go like a period of 2 days just like making shit up and
I don't even cuss, bro.
talking shit to people, how my nuts taste, bro. How my nuts taste, gamma. And it was a shit show, bro. Like,
Oh shit. Oh shit.
how my nuts taste, bro. How my nuts taste, gamma.
I don't even cuss, bro.
Stupid shit. You've said nothing but stupid shit.
No, I don't even cuss in mine.
Stupid shit.
I don't even cuss, bro.
Shit.
Shit.
That's what the fucking word means.
This is not an approved area. Would you like to move?